Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Monday already, man. And I can't believe what I just witnessed on Saturday. I'm not just talking about the main event between Benavides and Morrel. I'm not just going to talk about the third fight, right? Because the main event, Brandon Figueroa, man, he's got to really learn how to box. You're so tall and you just go in there with your head and you smother your own work. Someone's got to really teach him how to box and use his jab. And so we can skip the co-main event, man. The best part of that fight was the wardrobe of Stephen Fulton, the khaki denim jeans, shorts, and then the Timberlands, bro. So shout out to Stephen Fulton for, anybody that was casting doubt on his career, whether he should retire about the Naoya Inoue performance and the knockout, he will always have Brandon Figueroa's number. But that third fight, Pitbull Cruz and Angel Fierro, shout out to Fierro, man, because I thought that fight was going to last under 4 rounds. That man has a impeccable heart, determination, chin. Like, wow. When I was a kid and I was watching fights like Juan Manuel Marquez and Pacquiao, Morales, Pacquiao, all of these fights, Pitbull Cruz versus Angel Fierro, that's what that fight reminded me of. That was incredible boxing. And I only wish that it wasn't pay-per-view. Now, in the sense that these fighters deserve every money based on that effort, based on those performances, but the millions needed to be present and watching this at home on like local channels. I get it that, in order to break even or maybe even make profit, they needed to put this fight on pay-per-view. But imagine if the world was tuning into this and 5, 7, 9 million people were watching it at home. Pitbull Cruz versus Fierro would have won the hearts and minds of every single person in the living room, at the comfort of their cell phone, if they were coming home late from work or whatever the case may be. And even before we even get to the stellar cards and the main cards like Jesus Ramos and Jason Rosario, if we even go back to Mirko Cuello, that fight, nothing ever will beat the sport of boxing. The sport of boxing is the greatest sport. It's the greatest sport. There's not one sport that comes close to it. The heart, the determination. Bro, you felt very proud of being Latino, felt very proud of being Mexican. They don't make fights like this. They don't. There's no sport like basketball does not equate to boxing. Baseball, all of these sports are inferior to the sport of boxing, man. What a fucking fight, man. It was just so good that I have to watch it twice. You know what I mean? It was so good, man. It's so good. I can't stress the impact, the greatness of what I just witnessed on Saturday. It was fantastic. And no words can describe of whoever was able to watch it, whether you had a stream going or everybody pitched in on Amazon Prime to buy the pay-per-view. You just felt proud to be a boxing fan, to be Mexican American, and just to witness it as a participant. Shout out to David. Shout out to Morrel. Shout out to Pitbull Cruz, Fierro, Cuello, Mirko Cuello, Jesus Ramos. Bro, shout out to all of you guys, man, because that was probably the best $80 I've ever spent on a pay-per-view in probably 10 years. Everything about this night was perfect. Not to get political, but in the political climate that we are, the socio-economical climate, and you ask yourself, that Saturday, everybody, it was a message, man. It was, bro, I just can't stress how important this fight was, man. The effort, the heart, el corazón, bro. Like, wow. just made me proud, man. I can't really say anything else about it. It was just a fantastic fight. So for those that haven't witnessed it, man, you got to find a way to watch the fights, man. It was incredible. It was incredible. But David Benavides, in order to beat Dimitri Bivol, in order to beat Artur Beterbiev, in order to beat possibly Zurdo Ramirez, let alone Canelo Alvarez, you got to fine-tune your skills. You got to fine-tune your discipline. You get what I'm saying? Because he was getting when he got dropped when he was first 19 or 20 years old against Ronald Gabriel, right? He was flat-footed. Like, he didn't have proper boxing stance, okay? And this happened in the 4th round. And that's what allows David Benavides to unleash his flurries. I get it, right? You're straight up, and you're able to allow these combinations to swipe down, right cross over the top that he landed like 3-4 times in the 1st round. But your balance, bro, David Benavides, his balance, he's got to fix it. And it's a discipline issue. It's a discipline issue. His lack of footwork is going to get him in trouble. What makes him great is his impeccable punching and combinations and his flurries. But if you get punched in between, and that's what Bivol, that's what Beterbiev, that's what Canelo do, that's what Zurdo does, they punch in between you, all right? They're not going to shell up all crazy like David Morrel was. They're going to punch with you. David will get in trouble because of his unstaggered footwork. He's just straight up. It's like, bro, a little push will drop you back down. I don't know how he didn't get dropped in that 4th round off that jab that looked like a right hook, but it was just a jab. And David Morrell didn't really get to catch it because I think he looked down on the ground and he just threw a little sneak jab. The same jab that Terrence Bud Crawford hurt Kell Brook with, I think in the 4th or the 6th round, and basically essentially dropped, Bud Crawford got the stoppage in that particular round. There's the same right jab that David Morrell landed on David Benavides. Those moments against Bivol, against Beterbiev, against Canelo, they'll capitalize and they're going to knock you out because they're not going to be looking at the ground. They're going to be looking at you and understanding and reading body language. That's the only thing that David Benavides essentially needs to work on is his discipline. His discipline. Adi goes, I can see why they call Benavides the Mexican monster now. It's because he fights like Frankenstein. Bro, after all those putazos and maratones and bruises and swelling, bro, he looks like the Elephant Man. You know what I'm saying? All respect, because I love his fighting style. It's must-see TV. But yeah, brother, for sure. And then that mouthpiece with the colorful things, they don't really, help his cause either. But for sure it's Frankenstein, bro. Like if you juxtapose Frankenstein and Benavides side by side, bro, all you got to do is paint Benavides green, essentially. Salute to you, Vince Vargas. Adi goes. Oh yeah, I reread that one. Yeah, man. Shout out to you guys, man. Yo, Adi, Vince. Were you guys able to watch all the undercards, man? Not just the main events, but like the preliminaries? Vince goes, man, his face looked nasty in the post-fight press conference. Hey, man, I hear you. But you know what? The sport of boxing isn't to look cute. You know what I mean? It's to come out and give great fights. They don't call David Benavides David Pretty Boy Benavides. You know what I mean? They call him the Mexican monster. That means he's going to punish you and he's going to get punished, period. He ain't come out here to look cute. He ain't come out here with, flamboyant, bedazzled sneakers and jean shorts. Nah, he came here to fucking fight. And, hey, he lived up to his moniker once again. But I did expect a knockout. Look, when we talked about this fight, beforehand, he's fighting a prospect. And you guys realized that David Morrell has never fought essentially somebody that is willing to fight back. He hasn't fought somebody that essentially goes in there with a winner's mentality. And he was fighting somebody that had more experience than him. And for the first time in a very long time, David Morrell was fighting somebody as big or even bigger than him. You get what I'm saying? Because all of those other fights that he had, those are fake fights. All right? Those are guys from 160 and 154. That's why he's knocking them out with essentially one punch. Well, when you fight somebody that's actually a true winner, Like we talked about, Morrel has no ex-champions. He's a prospect with 10 fights. I expected David Benavides to get the knockout, to get a knockdown, maybe even get a referee stoppage. He doesn't hit hard enough at 175. You get what I'm saying? And Arthur does. So Benavides, he should not wait for all of these winners. Bro, you got to fight 3-4 times, and you got to make sure you have Memo Heredia on your corner so you can actually fill out at 175 because you're fast. You know, you got the Manny Pacquiao hand speed and combinations. You know what I mean? But hey, these guys have great punch tolerance. And that's David Morrel, a guy with 10 fights. What you going to go out there with Bivol and Beterbiev that damn near undisputed and have that experience that I talked about that David Morrel was lacking? Ex-champions, being a champion, experience, big enough, skill, been in those big moments. When you check up all the boxes, David Benavides had all the advantages. And like what we talked about, David Morrel is a prospect. And you got to see that he's got some sizzle. You know, he's got some skill, but he was afraid to get hit. That's why he shelled up like Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. when he fought Canelo. When Joshua Clottey fought Manny Pacquiao. They don't know what to do when they're getting pushed back. You can tell that David Morrel, when he's sparring, he's always the better, bigger, stronger guy. On Saturday, he learned a lot about himself. And basically, after the 6th round, he had one of the most defeated looks on his faces. You know, Ronnie Shields is trying to give him instructions and all of these things. And you can see little by little the young man energy. Well, they're basically the same age. But in terms of like ring experience, professional ring experience, you saw Morrel, he wasn't going to quit, but you can see he's like deflated. His ego's taking a pounding. You know what I'm saying? But he did a great job. For a guy for 10 fights, he held his own for sure. Vince goes, very true. Be victorious is the key. I wanted Figueroa to win, but he went the distance. Warp Speed goes, Adimeri at Vince Vargas, could even fall to 1-0. Adimeri goes, I was so disappointed in Christian Olivo giving up with 1 minute left. Man, Christian versus Mirko Cuello. When I saw that fight and how it ended, right? I wouldn't say that he gave up. It was a premature stoppage, but his corner needed to tell him, bro, you're up on the fucking fight card. You're up on this fight. Don't quit. You got this in the bag. And shout out to the Argentine, Cuello, because in the 9th round, when they probably whispered into his ear and they're like, dude, you're fucking down. All 3 judges have you down by like 5-4 rounds. You saw the different mentality and the tenacity of his mindset. He started being a little more rugged in the 9th round. And in the 10th, he found that liver shot and he found that same, left hook, but to the solar plexus. And Christian Olivo being the underdog, bro, he looked like Juan Manuel Marquez. Beautiful combination, creative punching, very crafty on his defense. But Cuello, again, the beauty about fighting an undefeated fighter is you have to strip him of that manhood, of that honor, because then they don't know what defeat looks like. Cuello probably has never been dropped before. So when he got dropped in that right hand over the top in the 2nd round, he was like, this ain't supposed to happen. And he was like, shit. And you see Olivo just doing his thing. Very crafty, making the other guy miss, making him pay. Oh, man, what a great fucking fight. And then somehow, bro, he finds those left hooks to the liver, to the solar plexus in the 10th round, and he gets the job done. Bro, that was incredible. Dude, right then and there, I was like, I got my money's worth. And then came Pitbull Cruz. Then came David Benavides. And it was just like, bro, I was almost exhausted of how much excitement those freaking fights were, bro. It was so good. Like, dude, I'm telling you, like, I was just proud, bro. Like, I was just like, wow. Probably the best $80 I've spent, as I said, in 10 years, man. David Benny is Frankenstein, but with dimples. This fucking guy. Warp Speed goes, I don't think he gave up, though, Adi. I think he was up from the count and very responsive, very clear-minded. And then 3 seconds left into the count, the ref waved it off. Yeah, I agree. I thought they did him dirty, man. I thought they should have finished it. Given how competitive it was, there was no reason for that referee to interject himself in that situation, in that moment. I really did. He did an injustice to that performance from Olivo, pero ni modo, güey, se rajó el güey. He didn't even try pushing him or anything. It's not like it really matters, you know, just because you're like, hey, what the fuck, ref? I beat the count. You know, doesn't mean that they're, you know, the ref's going to be like, oh, hey, yeah, you beat the count, man. I made a mistake. Continue fighting. They don't do that stuff. Once the ref, you know, makes a boneheaded decision, it is what it is. Adi Medi goes, it just felt like Mirko's punches were weak towards the end. Yeah, I thought the liver shot, I think, was partially blocked on the elbow. You know, sometimes just because you do partially block something doesn't mean it doesn't penetrate and you still don't get that impact. You still feel the shots. It's just when we talk about clear punches right on the liver, it looked like Olivo blocked it, man, you know? But it is what it is. But that solar plexus shot at that 10th round, Mirko Cuello founding it, that was incredible, man. It felt like Christian could have had more punch resistance that final minute. But overall, it was a beautiful fight. Bro, that was amazing. Everything about that fight card was incredible. Like, everybody understood the assignment. You know, it is an honor to be on a pay-per-view card, whether you're headlining it, co-main event third, or whether you're, you know, one of the guys like Carmel Moulton or Jose Benavides in the preliminaries. You have a duty to put on amazing performances for the paying customer that's paying not only for the event there, but at home, right? And all of these guys understood the assignment and they delivered, and no amount of money can ever amount to that type of bravery that they showed. Dude, it was just, like I said, I just felt proud to be a boxing fan that night, bro. It was great. Yoneli Hernandez is the real deal, too. Perkins should have been waved off. Yeah, there's a couple of fights that I missed. I didn't watch the Jose Benavides fight or the Carmel Moulton. There's a couple of fights that I need to go back and rewatch. But I think up from Cuello or the fight before all the way to the main event, you know, I pretty much watched those, man. But yeah, Brandon Figueroa, bro, that guy should never be a co-main event. That fucking guy is garbage, bro. Like, it is just what it is. That guy has no jab. That dude doesn't feint. He just, you know, he's a linebacker, bro. You know what I mean? He just rushes in there like Sean Porter. Basically, no skill, no feinting when Sean Porter used to do that. And they're just looking to, like, blitz you and sack you out of the ring. It's just ridiculous, bro. It's like, bro, no one told you how to use your jab. Like, you like 5'11" with a long-ass arm reach, and you're getting out-jabbed by Stephen Fulton, who's like 5'5". I just don't understand it. But it is what it is, man. And he fucking throws punches behind his head. It's like well, how are you throwing those punches behind your head, bro? Like, Figgy got beat up yeah, with a nigga with Tim's. Yeah, bro, it's ridiculous, bro. Like, you kidding me, bro? Like, I don't know, bro. It's a horrible fucking fighter. You should go to acting or some shit, bro. Because, yeah, boxing, it don't suit him, bro. If you don't got a jab and you haven't established it after 30 fights, bro, you're a lost cause. Made for ugly. Like, bro, every single round, the fans were booing him. I'm just thinking to myself, bro, I want this shit to end already. Can Fulton get the knockout? Like, I was like, let me get straight to the main event, man. But Pitbull Cruz, bro, and Fierro, it just, I don't know, bro. I've never seen a person like Fierro get hit so many times and still almost give as good as he gets, bro. Because I thought he was going to get knocked out like 35 times in that night, and he didn't even get dropped once. That was incredible. The Mexican G goes, man, Benavides proved himself on Saturday night. They said he was just a weight bully. They said that he had no chin. They said that he would get walked down by the power puncher and Morrel. They said that he wouldn't take the best punches, and he ate them. Yeah, bro, I agree. I was a little skeptical, bro. I'm not even going to lie to you because, again, maybe I'm being a harsh critic, but David Morrel, he's a prospect. Kid has 10 fights, no ex-champion. He's not a champion himself. He's already moved up from one weight class to another. Didn't look good against Hot Rod Rajimov or whatever the case may be. You know, he couldn't really cut off the ring. And I'm thinking, bro, David should probably knock this kid out. Yeah, he's a strong puncher against 154 and 160 pounders. You know what I mean? But, hey, he showcased his skill. He told us why he was in that position. Even though he got beat 9 rounds to 3, in my opinion, he still showed that maybe in the future, if he had those championship rounds, if he had those experience with top quality opposition, maybe it's a different story. But I would say this, though, man. Benavides does need to work on his footwork. he's too squared up, right? And when you fight punchers and fighters that are gonna look at you while they're blocking and punching in between, he's gonna find himself in a world of hurt. And he was already losing his discipline and his cool in the third and fourth round. Now I know he said that he's a professional and this is just fight build-up, but he looked very emotional. I'm not even gonna lie to you guys. There was this one angle when he was in the locker room, and I think David Morrel is doing like the Michael Jackson Thriller, moonwalk. And then the camera zooms in on David Benavides, and it looked like this dude was having a panic attack. Did you guys see that? When he was in the couch and he was like, he was breathing all like heavily. Now, to myself, I thought two things. Bro, this man is panicking. He's going to crack. So I put $50 that he was going to get knocked out. Or I was thinking to myself, maybe they played me and he's just trying to breathe in as much air as he possibly can. But be that as it may, bro, I was like, oh, shit. I don't know, bro. I still had a little bit of doubt as the fight was progressing. And once I saw that jab that kind of rocked him and stunned him in that fourth round, I was like, bro, that better not happen again. All right, what the hell is the Mexican G talking about? He goes, but the black fan said that Benavides was ducking Morrel. You know what, bro? I don't even think they said that. I think the Cubans said that, but the Cubans don't know much about professional fighting. El Guapo 66 goes, blah, blah, blah. All you guys do, wait. You guys now coming with excuses. Can eat a casual fanboys facts. I don't know what you're talking about, but whatever. Adimedi goes, I know the backstory to that breathing by Benavides in the locker room. Well, tell it to me, bro. The Mexican G goes, Benavides is always nervous before his fights, but it's nothing but business when he steps in the ring. Yeah, brother. I would agree. Let me see. Am I missing out on some of these comments that YouTube blocks? No. Secondhand embarrassment. No, I think I read them all. Yeah, no, man. I was a little confused. I've never seen. I'm pretty much seen all of Benavides' pro careers, and I've never seen him breathe that deeply, bro. Like I know fighters, hell, even when I used to train, that's how I ease and I calm myself, like I take deep breaths. But I've never seen the Mexican monster have such a nervous face like that. I was like, what the hell? I was like, Jude, Speed, y'all see this shit? And then they're like, what the hell? And then they're like, nah, bro, don't worry about it. And I was like, nah, bro, that just, I don't know, it looks strange. But Adimedi goes, I know the backstory. He snorted a bad batch that Luis de Cubas provided him as an apology gift. Yeah, man, you know what? I like the fact that they remain angry towards one another. Like, don't be friends with one another. Talk that ish. Yo, give me a second, Drew. You might have to hold it down real quick, brother, because I got to do this quick deposit. But chop away, bro.
Yo, bring in Speed at least.
Well, he's not in the platform just yet. So keep doing your thing. Just say what you saw the fight. Give me like 10 minutes.
Oof. All right, man. Because I'm gonna say something, but all right, let's see. So where you're, man, this is the thing. That's all right. I gotta start fresh, man. You just kind of dropping me off, but where do I start,
just
man?
Talk about what you saw. Everything, bro.
Yeah, because I was at your house, so yeah, man, it was good. It was a good night of boxing, man. Yeah, we pretty much like split it. We went 50-50, so we paid for it. We paid for it, and we were like, supporting. We also didn't want to deal with like all the buffering and stuff like that, so I could have easily brought in my streaming box. The super box that you get from Amazon. It's only $50, but it wasn't worth it. We weren't trying to deal with all that buffering. So we got, it didn't pause at all. It didn't buffer at all. So can't complain. But yeah, man, it was a good night of boxing, man. And it pretty much started with the Mirko Cuello fight. Like I was watching parts of that fight. And I seen that Cuello got dropped in the early rounds, and I was like, "Damn," So I'm gonna I'll rewatch the whole entire fight, really the whole entire card. You were mentioning something about like it was so good. This guy's telling me we gotta rewatch it as a group again. We got to relive. Pretty much, you say let's relive that night again. So it was yeah, man, it was a good stream, man. Or yeah, no buffering, nothing, man. So dude, it was worth, like, literally. Rick never tells me to do that. Like, let's do that again. Like, literally, repeat everything that we just did. Buy the same pizza, buy the same beer. Nah, I'm just kidding, but not the same beer, but the same food and stuff. But nah, but dude, honestly, Audimedi, it didn't buffer at all on us, man. So yeah, it was good, man. So, but yeah, man, the Miracle Coil fight, bro. That was a good fight. Good fight. Just because of the events, the events that happened in that fight. Cuello gets dropped, and really he ends up finishing him off in the 10th round, I believe, the last round. So, the odds, um, the odds had a -105 for Cuello to win by decision. So that would have ruined my parlay anyways. But yeah, it was it was a tough fight for him, because that other dude, forget his name. I'm gonna see his name right now. Cuello, oh yeah, Christian Beretta. Um, Tough fighter, bro. I seen in his resume that he actually like beat. He's already beaten 12-0 fighters before, or undefeated fighters, two of them. Um, uh, Carlos Vargas and Kevin Crespo. That name sounds familiar, actually. But yeah, dude, this guy, he was tough, man. His opponent was tough. I was like, I knew it was gonna be like a tough fight for Cuello. Um, but yeah, man, Miracle, dug deep and actually, um, got the stoppage. But from what I heard, they were landing some bombs on each other. So yeah, it was a good fight, and I think that was like the last fight of the prelims on YouTube, because there was like three of them or something like that. Cormel Moten, I believe, was in there as well, and I might be wrong because it just streamed three fights, and I'm seeing more than three fights on the undercard. So I'm pretty sure they didn't stream John Easter, who I was high on, who I actually forgot to mention in the last stream. John Easter is a Mayweather fighter. You got to look out for that guy, because he's like a unicorn because he has no amateur experience, and he's 8-0 with 7 knockouts. So this guy's a problem. He's a 160 pounder. He's a problem, bro. So I don't know where Floyd finds these guys, but he might be another Rolly too. Because without amateur experience, really, how far can you go? Or because I know Rolly actually does have amateur experience, and he has gone in there with some of the best amateurs. Um, so yeah, man. Yeah, and I guess Jose Benavides Jr. fought on that card. Daniel Blancas, who I have yet to watch fight. Um, I heard he's a hard hitter under Jose Benavides camp. So I'm hearing a lot of good things from him. I also missed it. He won by decision though. Beat Juan Barajas 11-1, I guess now. So it must have been a tough fight, but I don't even think they streamed it, which sucks. Um, so yeah, man, it all started with the Jesus Ramos, so the pay-per-view portion of the fight. It was Jesus Ramos versus Banana Rosario, and yeah, man, you seen Jesus Ramos kind of deal with some issues because Banana's size. He was taking his punches really well, and he was actually hitting back. Um, I think it was somewhat early, but I also, can't really argue with it. But yeah, man, Jesus is a 160 fight too. So Banana manages to like melt down to like 160, even though he's like a 168 pounder. That's impressive. And that's impressive for Jesus Ramos to really take down a full-fledged 168 pounder, but yeah, man, that was also a decent fight. A decent squabble, you know. So yeah, I think after that was the Pitbull fight, which really was, man, the fight of the. I'm trying to think back, man, because I don't like to over exaggerate sometimes, like I've seen fights like this. I've seen fights that were back and forth, and that's because I do my research. I actually look at old fights, and I see like how they got down. Like I hear the one of the best fights of all time was actually um, Mickey Ward versus Thunder Gotti. And I would say that's like that would top Pitbull Cruz, but we're talking like that's how good of a fight this was. Um, and I'm only saying that was the best fight I've ever seen. But I didn't listen to what Rick said, so yeah, I don't know if he said he was like the best fight, But yeah, let me see what you guys say. Sorry, I was just blabbering. Let me see. Oh, Speed's in the lobby, Rick. So if you can please uh send them through. And let's see, where do I go? Where do I go? I think you read all of that. Let's see. Huh. Okay. I'm gonna just go with. Damn, you guys just talking, huh? Oh no, wait. I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying to see where I should start off. Okay, there I am. Luis de Cuba's got hella exposed. I don't know how he was exposed. That's to do with the lineup, right? He's like he used to be in Erislanda's Lara's corner, I think, right? Colored eyed fuck. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, Vince Vargas says I didn't order it. The Mexican G, it was a good stream. It didn't buffer once. Warp speed. He said he's in the lobby now. Vince Vargas watched the replay of a zoomed in video. Didn't know who won because I didn't look at my phone. Oh, dude, I think I seen something like I tried rewatching the Pitbull versus Angel Fierro fight, and it showed me like a close up version of it. It didn't, so it kind of sucked. I seen like some shots, so I think maybe we're talking about that, but yeah, I don't think I'm gonna be able to watch it unless I rewatch it with Rick. You know, like I hate that, man, because that fight, they need to post that fight on YouTube, man. You know, um, because yeah, that was one of those fights where if you manage to like record it somehow, um, hold on, guys, I'm having issues right now with my. Oh, there we go. But yeah, yeah, that was a good fight, man. That was a good fight. So yeah, on YouTube, man. They're gonna post it eventually. They're gonna post it eventually. So I'm still waiting on that. But can't wait until they actually post it for everyone to see. Cause what a fight. Um, let me see. Man, you guys just talking, huh? Dang, where did I leave off? It's because my computer kind of glitched right now. So okay. Uh, the Mexican G says Figueroa should never be on the main event again. Well, he was on the co-main. He was on the co-main, and honestly, I was highly disappointed in him. Um, I'm not gonna call it a boring fight, but it was literally the same fight, if not a lesser version of him in the second time around. Like he did way more work in the first fight. He was digging way deeper in the first fight. And I think Figueroa said, Carlos Castro knocked you down and had you hurt. I can hurt you too. But guess what? Maybe Carlos Castro punches harder and his defense sucks and you managed to take advantage of that. I don't know. But Figueroa, I thought he was going to knock him out. It was on paper, right? You knock out Carlos Castro. Carlos Castro hurts Fulton. Like, it's math, So kind of sucks. But yeah, I was counting on Figueroa because that's one of those. It was I had a tough parlay. I had a feeling it wasn't gonna hit. I had Figueroa by knockout. And it didn't happen. So yeah, he highly disappointed me, man. So let me just read the rest of these, man, so then you can carry on. But yeah, Vince Vargas says Let's see. Oh yeah. Warp Speed said the Mexican G. Good evening, for young man. How was your new job going? So, Mexican G says, "Oh, ovale, ovale speed." I don't know what that says. Bro, I'm hella fucking white. No, I'm just kidding. Lights Out Cell says Figueroa fought his last hit like his shot older brother. Bro, he did, man. If Figueroa's worse though, he was super sloppy, bro. Like he just come forward and like just punched with his head. I don't know. Um, is Figueroa that bad? Seen him fight once with Top Rank. Which Figueroa, the Omar or Brandon? Because I think Omar's worse, bro. Like it's not that he's worse, it's just that you need more. You need to come with more at 147. Like you're super sloppy at 147. Like you got to be like more faster and more explosive at 147. And he just thought he was all power, man. I mean, man, eventually you got a box. But yeah, man. Um, Adi Matty says, agreed. Figgy versus Scooter wasn't he cool boy when he did the switch to Scooter? Um, yeah, I think he was somewhere on those means he was like cool boy and then he went to Scooter. But I heard Scooter was always like his name though. Like even like I was watching this fight Fulton versus Regan, Ronald Regan or something like that. He was like he's this undefeated fighter right now. He's not that good, but he was one of those highly touted amateurs. And I seen him fight, and in the comments you could see like a bunch of people calling him Scooter. So that must have been like his childhood name. But Cool Boy is probably some he carried on after that or something. Something like a pretty boy version. But yeah, man. Where did I go? Oh yeah, the Mexican G says Figueroa was fighting like an autistic drunk. I mean, yeah, yeah. I mean, he's not one dimensional. He's one and a half dimensions. Like he comes with different. Like he's not even trying to change up his like combinations. He's not trying to set it up. He's another come forward fighter, and he does faint. But it's just like, dude, like, what are you doing? Like, you're not hurting him. You're just trying to smother him. You gotta penetrate his chin. You can't just get him tired. Like maybe he's, you know, got his energy up or something. I don't know. Like you gotta tap that chin. But yeah, let me first finish reading this off, unless I can't catch up. Um, but yeah, the Mexican G says after 2 rounds, Figueroa was punching like he was underwater, and that's no exaggeration. For real. Lights Out Cell says the Figueroa boxing style is not made to be world class. They just B level, and their dad does not have real experience. Yeah, man, and it also depends on their trainer. Like get them used to like give them the muscle memory of some combinations. Like that's what I realized. I got to change up. Like when I punch in the bag, like I got to change up some of these combinations that I do, give them different looks, because it builds muscle memory on how you move. It's like a dance move. How you're dancing, you just remember that dance move. There's certain dance moves I kind of remember I can still do. I can low key do the crip walk, but I used to do that as a kid, and it's still kind of muscle memory to me. Anyways, um, Audimeti says they didn't broadcast John Easter versus Joseph Aguilar, Daniel Blancas versus Juan Barajas, and so on and so forth. Yeah, man, all those fights, bro, they didn't. They just broadcast it. They just streamed 3 fights on YouTube on the prelims. So that sucks. Vince Vargas, Mex G, he says Mex G. Audimeti says, I was curious to see Jose Benavides Jr. knockout. Mexican G says Jose Benavides was on the undercard. Yeah, man, he was on the undercard. Vince Vargas says, how was the pay-per-view numbers look like? Uh, that hasn't been released yet. Pretty sure it'll take a while for that. If anything, it will never come out. But it's just rumors. But yeah, the Mexican G says Jose Benavides Sr. should fight on Pro Box from this point on. I agree. I mean, I don't think there's no other option unless he gets another opportunity with his brother. But Adi Medi says he fought before the Carmel versus Aldiver fight. Okay. Mexican G says Pitbull versus Fierro was a war, definitely a fight of the year. Adimani says never seen Pitbull get days like that. Help me out, Rick. I'm fucking tired. There's a lot of
Yeah, I got you, bro. Well, yeah, dude. We had 2, possibly 3 fights of the year, right? We had Christian Olivo versus Mirko Cuello. That fight was it was beautiful boxing. It was great skill, athleticism, technique, punch placement, combination. Christian Olivo was making me a fan, bro. I was like, bro, this is how Juan Manuel Marquez used to fight. You know, very technical, a lot of beautiful, creative combination punching. And Mirko Cuello didn't know what was happening, bro. And then Cuello, his athleticism and his temperament showed up in the later rounds. That fight, I was like, bro, I got my money's worth. And then Pinchy Pitbull Cruz, bro. Angel Fierro, amazing fight. It topped Cuello versus Olivo. And then the main event delivered too, bro. It was, dude, it was amazing. So you read pretty much all of these comments? I think he ran out of breath. Yo, can you guys hear me? Might check real quick. I think you guys.
Oh, my bad. I was muted. Everything after what you highlighted, I didn't.
Okay, got you. So let me read that one. The Mexican G goes, Fierro is like Michael Myers. Nothing can put him down. Yeah, dude. Pitbull threw everything that he possibly could. Straight punches, uppercuts to the body. And Fierro, yeah, man, there was definitely true animosity. And I've seen him fight a couple of times, right? Angel Fierro. Everyone talks about the fight that he had versus Alberto Machado, a Miguel Cotto fighter way back at 126, 130. And I thought Pitbull was going to knock him out because Angel Fierro had been dropped by lesser opposition. I don't think he's ever been truly stopped. But I was like, he's not really a 140 pounder. To that same, neither is Pitbull Cruz, right? I feel Pitbull Cruz would be best at 130, 135. But, you know, these guys are very stocky, what Pitbull is. So I'm sure the muscle is very hard to shed off. But, yeah, I don't feel like Pitbull Cruz should be fighting at 140 based on his height and his arm length, bro. Maybe even 130, you know? What do you look like fighting Emmanuel Navarrete? But be that as it may, that chin, that heart, that determination to never back down, Fierro almost had him stop Pitbull Cruz. Pitbull was getting exhausted, right? And he needs to learn how to touch his opponents. It's always nothing but hard punches. Bah, bah, bah. And it looked like he wasn't pacing himself. And I think it was not the 4th round or like the 6th that they started exchanging, you know, punches left and right. And Angel Fierro finds a right hook right to the dome, kind of like the cranium, but above the ear, a little behind it, and boing, bounces a fucking right hook off Pitbull Cruz's head, and he's like, "I wait, I'm losing my balance." And Pitbull, like Virgil Ortiz, they don't know any better, right? Well, they do know better, but they're just gonna fucking start slugging it because their defense is a better offense. And bro, Angel Fierro was getting the best out of it. He was using the arm length, the 3s and 4s, bro. An amazing fight. Pitbull Cruz versus Fierro, bro. I can't stress enough. I haven't seen a fight like that in 10 years. 10 years, maybe 15 years. That was some like Diego Corrales, Jose Luis Castillo type of performance. I fucking love that fight.
But that one,
I can't stress enough how my mom, my dad, Drew, Speed, we were just cracking up because we were just like, what the fuck is going on? Oh, man. It was so crazy. Fun, man. So fun.
Yeah, you know, I want you see my comment. I want Nick Ball versus Pitbull Cruz.
Yeah, but Nick Ball wouldn't last. He's like at 122 pounds. You know, Pitbull Cruz is at 140. So I mean, it would be a great fight. But yeah, Nick Ball is already getting wobbled at 122, 126. You know, guys like Raymond Ford and shit like that. People will put a stopping on them. But I would like to see Angelo Leo versus Nick Ball. That'd be a damn good fight. You know, the Mexican G goes, he must have had Taco Bell. In regards to the homie going to get some cafe, he should be back in half an hour. Yeah, man, we had to do a deposit right here. But anyway, let's say, or drink a papaya milkshake. Honestly, I haven't ate nothing. And I actually feel pretty good. Over the weekend, I ate a lot of pizza, so I feel. Vince Vargas goes, I want to hear Ricky's thoughts on David Benavides wanting to continue to fight in Las Vegas and not overseas with Turkey a la Sheik. I like that. I like that. I truly like every single fighter, right? It's mixed. It's mixed because, again, if I was in their shoes, if I was a world champion, I'm trying to honor what that word means, world champion. And one of the things about being, I don't know, a professional boxer or an athlete is you want to, if you're called a world champion, if baseball is called a World Series, right? All of these things, I want to showcase my talents and build new fan bases. I want to use my job profession as a professional boxer and travel the whole world and go to the highest bidder and showcasing my talents. So if I can go to Saudi Arabia and showcase my talents there, I'm trying to be ubiquitous and prevalent all over the world. If the Philippines, they want to see me and I have a fan base there, boom, I want to fight in front of them, as well as I would love to fight in Mexico, in Costa Rica, and Puerto Rico. I want to travel the world. I don't just want to fight 30 professional fights in Las Vegas like Floyd Mayweather. That's just boring. I want to travel the world. I want to fight in the UK. I want to see what the UK world has to offer. So in a sense, I'm glad that David Benavides wants to continue to stay home here. But if I'm a world champion, I want to showcase my world and my skills to the whole world. So I don't know, man. I mean, and at the end of the day, money talks. So if Turki Al Sheikh is shelling out $50 million, you're taking your ass to Saudi Arabia. You're going over there because that's who's putting up the money. But be that as it may, I mean, again, if I'm David, why not have a hometown fight in Arizona, Texas? I mean, Las Vegas, there's a lot of beauty in it at night, not during the day. So I don't know. It is what it is. He can do whatever it is he wants on his career, but let me go up a little higher. The Mexican G goes, Pitbull versus Fierro was a war. Definitely fight of the year. Ari Meri goes, yeah, he fought before Cromwell versus Zaldivar fight. Jose Benavides Sr. should fight on the pro box at this point from his career. Yeah, man, pro box is a great platform. Ari Meri goes, they didn't broadcast. Okay, yeah, you read that one, man. Yeah, man, I was so excited about this fight. I'm glad that they delivered. And I think one of you guys asked about the pay-per-view numbers. Hopefully it does great, but I think it's probably going to do between 50,000 to, at best, 150K. But I think it's going to be somewhere between 75,000 to 100,000. I would be surprised if it does a lot of good numbers. One, is very expensive. Two, there's really none of these guys are like champions. Maybe, Stephen Fulton versus Brandon Figueroa was a championship belt, but Pitbull Cruz ain't a champion. Right at 140, I don't think. David Benavides and Morrel, these guys are all fighting for interim belts. So when you put it like that, you do have fighters that have a cult following, but $80 during this economy, when El Huevo Ranchero is like fucking, I don't know, $2 an egg. Chales, bro, you're not buying that shit. But I hope it did great numbers because how they fought. There's never an amount of money for those type of performances and that bravery. You can't put money on that fight, on these performances. These are priceless. Like, pay them $1 million, 10 million each, because there's no amount of like stuff that you can go through. You know what I mean? That was incredible. The Mexican G goes, that was a bullshit knockdown. Yo, Drew and Speed, if you guys are here, did you guys think that was a knockdown, man?
Yeah. Oh, you take it, the Dream.
Okay. Yeah, what was that, Rick?
The last comment from the Mexican G, man. Did you guys?
How about that bullshit knockdown? Which knockdown? The one Benavides got knocked down in?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. It wasn't bullshit. It was fair. He hit him and he touched the ground next, bro. Like he thought he didn't get touched or something, or I don't know. It was like a definition of a flash knockdown, bro. Like he just, he needed to support his upper portion of his body before it collapsed to the ground because it just fell too quick and he just caught himself on the ground, and probably, and even if it landed in his on his shoulder, he still touched him before he touched the ground. It's like getting tackled. You know, it's like they gotta. It's like they gotta touch you while you're on the ground. If they get up, you gotta tackle them all over again. You know, but
Pete, what you think?
Okay, well, good even for to one and all. Good even for the you, homie Ricky. Good even for the you, Dream. Mexican, the Mexican G, Vince Vargas, Eddie Meddy, and everybody else is that's out there listening. Good even for to one and all. Well, we know it was a BS knockdown, right? Because there was a trip. If you go back, there was a trip, and I believe that the check hook that Morrel threw landed in the arms, right? Which so if you land in the arms, it is presupposed that it is a block, a defensive gesture. Now, technically, if you trip at the same time that there is any kind of contact, whether it's in the arms or bright grazing your ear or whatever, if your body moves in the flow and in the direction of a punch that lands, technically it's a knockdown. So when I first saw it, I did think that there was a check hook. And second, the glance, of course, with the replay and whatnot, we know that that was not the case. But technically, it really goes down to the man in the ring, the third man there, to determine whether or not he thinks a punch landed that had some consequence and or effect that would have led to the toppling of the man. And I think the third man said, yeah, that's why he started counting. Now, did it really have any kind of consequence? Absolutely not. At the end of the day, I think that same round was a very hard fought round where David Benavides ended up winning the majority of that round, right? So he basically neutralized that knockdown, even though the knockdown is a very significant and important point. There has to be a lot of actions to negate the power of dropping a man, right? I I think David Benavides may have just done enough to neutralize it. If you disagree, that's perfectly fine. I agree. Knockdowns and knockouts, especially, are the tell all of a fight, right? But then, of course, what took place at the end of that 11th round, the very delayed punch by David Morrel, and of course, let's not deny, very delayed punch by David Benavides himself led to a point deduction on the Morel's end. So again, I think maybe it was a draw, but did I think it was a knockdown? Yeah, homie Ricky, let's go with the knockdown. Sure.
Got you. Yeah, I'm gonna say that it wasn't a knockdown because it's a right hook to the bicep. And from this perspective of the ref, he thinks it's a hook or a temple shot. And that's how essentially David reacts to it. So in real time, it looks like a knockdown. But upon inspection, upon replay footage, right, you have to correct it. You know, I can see from this perspective where the ref is at. He thinks it's a right hook to the, check right hook. It looks like it. David, loses his balance. He stands up instantly. But if you, upon a closer look, when you slow down the footage in slow-mo, the people that are reviewing the footage, they have to correct it and tell the corners and tell the judges, yo, guys, that was not a knockdown. He slipped on the foot and you have to correct it. I don't know if that's what they did. I know in previous fights, I don't know if this is a WBC event, but I know they're the ones that actually use instant replay and they correct those situations. Because let's say this fight was extremely close and they actually counted this as a legitimate knockdown in the scorecards. Maybe David Morrel were to win this fight, right? If it was close. But because it was so one-sided, maybe you guys can be like, sure, why not? They ended up taking a point from David Morrel anyways from the late hit, which was flagrant. You see, when David Benavides was throwing and there was a punch a little late, he was in the midst of combinations and putting pressure on David Morrel. David Morrel was, trying to swim and, without getting wet, so to speak, ducking and dodging all of these punches. And then he realized there was one punch that was late. And then he took a shot premeditated way after the fact, basically knowing that David Benavides was walking away, and boom, you can almost disqualify his ass right then and there. Because not too long ago, I believe in the beginning of last year, you saw something like that. Kasasi versus Joe Cordina. Cordina gets hit hella late after the fight, the round, and he never recovered. And essentially every single punch that the guy Kasasi landed on Joe Cordina, Cordina's head was bobbling left and right. Like he never recovered. That could have happened right then and there. So they could have disqualified David Morrel. Luckily, David Benavides recovered, and he still had a lot of stamina and fighting spirit to him. But let's say he didn't, and he comes out in the 12th round out drunk, and David Morrel put the stomping on him. You see what I'm saying? So, again, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of deciding factors that we don't really, take a lot into consideration because the fight paid out the way it did. But I'm just painting a different picture. What if David Benavides never recovered from that late hit? And it's possible. I mean, David Morrel lunged. He landed a flush right hook, probably his best punch. I don't know. But, yeah, man, these things, they have to be taken much more serious and into consideration. Because David Benavides, let me see if they put that punch here. Hold on. Let me just kind of skim through it. As that was a BS. They should have fixed that. But be that as it may, let me go. Hold on. They skip to the 12th round because PBC highlights, bro, they're garbage, bro. Like
they're the worst thing in the world.
Yeah,
for a boxing fan, yeah, the PBC highlights do not incentivize rewatching or especially repurchasing after the fight. Right? It's the worst thing ever. There's about 30 seconds of a fight. If you're lucky, you get a minute and a half. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, man, I agree. They show you like a minute or two of the highlights of the ring walk and then them touching gloves and then the actual foot. God, dude, they're just fucking scumbags, bro. That's all I gotta say. Like they're lucky the main events and the fights played out the way they do because in terms of their build-up and stuff like that, they're just horrible, bro. They're lazy, and I just can't wait for them to get out of boxing, bro, because these fighters have to showcase their skills where the world can watch, and PBC with their mediocre just lack of promotion, their mediocre everything, bro. It's just like these fighters deserve better. These fighters deserve better outlets to showcase their talents. And yeah, PBC, man, bro.
Horrible.
There's only one thing that is not mediocre, homie Ricky. And I was trying to reflect on whether or not my next statement is factual or at least founded in a reasonable take.
It's not.
But the one thing that the PBC always provides is bang for buck, right?
Always fights.
Those pay-per-view events, although they are quite costly, and it seems like every single fight night that the PBC puts up there is something that comes at a price. I don't think I've been disappointed with a PBC event for the ones that we've paid for, right? And this was just one of those, right? I mean, here's the thing. Going back, the one thing that makes these fights very competitive, homie Ricky, is the fact that these guys don't fight too often, right? I think in the case of Brandon Figueroa, you guys started, minimizing his performance, how bad he looked, and everything. Brandon Figueroa has fought in an average of one fight every year for the past 5 years. Think about that. I mean, the average really is every 8 months, but that boils down to one fight a year, right? And I think that dormancy, that inactivity leads to what I think are very exciting fights, right? Because if you have a very active fighter, yeah, you're gonna be able to get him climbing up the ranks more often. Maybe you'll get him a bit more renowned because of the frequency that people get used to watching him perform and things of that sort. I get that. You get famous and you get recognition by getting into the eyes of the boxing world, right? But Brandon Figueroa and the majority of all PVC fighters, they do not perform too often, so they're a bit relaxed, a bit inactive, a bit separated from the lights and the hurrahs and the loud noises, so that there sets in a nervousness, a freshness, a bad performance, if we can say that, that leads itself to very competitive fighting. Like, for example, I don't think anybody in the right mind would have expected Angel Fierro to have performed and lasted 12 rounds against Pitbull Cruz, right? Because we know what Pitbull Cruz is. We know, we've seen him before. We know how feisty he is. We know how competitive he is. We know what a rampager he is, right? But Pitbull Cruz is also a pretty inactive fighter. So because that inactivity sets in, they they become less defensible, less cautious, and more rambunctious and eager to throw, exposing themselves to risk and harm coming the way back from the more active fighters. And that's why that fight played out the way it did. It was not because Angel Fierro is much more dominant or skillful or, more active than Pitbull Cruz. No, it's because both of them are meeting up at equal moments in their life when they're going through transitions, whether, of inactivity or getting back in the grind or climbing up in weight. Those those elements, those, what's that word I'm looking for? Intangibles are the ones that make these very, very good fights at a price for the PBC. They all have, right? And I was very pleased that we were able to gather together and enjoy every single fight possible. In the case of Brandon Figueroa, of course, very flat performance. I agree, but the reason that fight played out the way it did, again, it just really boils down to how the dice lands, right? Most of the time, they're going to be very good at very competitive fights. And to tell you the honest truth, let's not be too harsh. Brandon Figueroa versus Stephen Coolboy Fulton was a pretty good fight. It's just that the fights before were so exciting that when we got to see that fight, it was very flat and lackluster. That's really the case, because both of those guys threw very good punches. Both of those guys were coming forward. Both of those guys stood their ground, whether on the ropes or center of the ring. They stood there throwing punches, bobbing and weaving, and shooting, catching and shooting. They did a lot of very good stuff, except they just did not live up to the hype of, let's say, Fierro versus Cruz, or Olivo versus Cuello. That's the only thing, right? But it was not a boring fight. You cannot call that a boring fight, guys. Now, one thing that you didn't really seem to answer, homie Ricky, is what are your comments on David Benavides, right? Saying that he wants to fight in the U.S. You said, yeah, you're good for it, right? But I wanted to ask you, right? Where does David Benavides go with this victory, if not to Turkey Ali Sheik? Here's the thing, right? David Benavides is very happy and eager to fight in Las Vegas. Why? Because he sold out the venue. I don't know if you guys know this, right? But David Benavides is absolutely happy that he sold out the arena, the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, at a seated amount of 12,109 people. And he says, quote unquote, when asked if he would go to fight for Turkey Ali Sheik and abroad, he says, "My fan base is here in Las Vegas." Right? Now, David Benavides and David Morrel, as enticing that as that fight was, guys, it was not for a belt. It was with a very known fighter against a relatively unknown fighter, right? You can actually say a prospect versus a veteran, right? For all intents and purposes, guys, this fight was not going to sell well. And in fact, I would be quite surprised if that event sells out 250,000 pay-per-view numbers. Now, here's the thing. If David Benavides agreed to making this fight, which we all agree not only was expensive, a lot of the boxing fan thinks it was not deserving of even being a pay-per-view event in the first place. If you guys are of the mind that this was expensive and that this was not a fight that should have come at a premium, the fact of the matter is the only reason why it was is because David Benavides, along with the PBC, thought that this fight would sell. And David thought that he could bet big money that this would turn a profit, especially for him. Now, I don't think it's going to be a very profitable, very financially rewarding fight for him at all. If he wants to take on the next fight, guys, I want you to look at light heavyweight. Look at the names. And then tell me what fight will make him that big money? What fight could entice this guy to stay in Las Vegas? And what would make him the A side against somebody like Artur Beterbiev or Dmitry Bivol? Would those guys come to Las Vegas to fight just because he's whimsical and capricious, right? Or would they say, you know what, I'm staying over here wherever Turkey tells me to? Why? Because I'm the guy with the belt. I'm the guy with the millions of dollars. I'm the guy who has Turkey on his side. Whether Beterbiev or Bivol wins the next fight, guys, if David Benavides wants any of those guys for a belt, and he is a WBC mandatory because he is a WBC interim champion, which means if he wants to, he can ask for better beef after the fight. If Beterbiev wins, after the fight takes place and Beterbiev wins, he can call that guy. You guys think Beterbiev is going to come to Las Vegas for a pittance at an Amazon PBC pay-per-view event when they could just give it at no extra premium or maybe $30 a pop and get multi-millions of dollars? Think about it. David Benavides is in no position to negotiate. If he wants to be an undisputed champion, he better cross his fingers that the nearly 40-year-old man in Beterbiev wins so that he can cross the street and fight in Saudi Arabia, screw the Las Vegas boxing fans, and get the money that you want. Because the reason you took on a fight in Las Vegas for pay-per-view is because you wanted money. You literally fought a prospect, bro. You want big money? You have to get the belts. And there's only one man that's willing to pay the big money and put him up there. And that's Turki Ali Sheikh. And he's willing to coronate you the lineal champion with the ring belt. If you are just willing to get out of your comfort zone, screw the American boxing fans, and go seek out the smoke where it's at. It ain't with you, buddy. It ain't with David Benavides. It's with Turki Ali Sheikh and Beterbiev and Bivol. You better get your head out of your ass, David, because you ain't nobody to call shots here.
Let me tell you something, brother.
No, you go for it. You go for it.
No, you go. Go.
Look, couple of things. What David Benavides needs to do, right? Because to your point, Speed, he doesn't have any leverage. Okay, he's just getting himself in the status, but he can't do nothing. What he needs is the big fights. So in order to get the big fights when you're a mandatory, you have to play ball, right? David Benavides can't be like, hey, man, I just sold out T-Mobile Stadium. 20,000 people tuned in to come watch me fight. Oh, yeah, but are you a champion? Did you beat Canelo? Did you beat Bivol or Artur? No. So he hasn't beaten any of these people. So he can't be like, oh, I dictate the terms. Every single fight is going to happen here in Las Vegas or in my back home in Arizona. Absolutely not. What David Benavides needs to do is do what Canelo Alvarez did. He needs to touch upon another market, the UK market. See, there was a time that Canelo at 154, he fought Amir Khan. He fought Liam Smith. That's what David Benavides needs to do. You said, where does Benavides go from here? Well, obviously, he's already told you his intentions. He wants to fight the winner of Better Beef and Bivol. Hopefully, he says it's Bivol because he has more history with him as he sparred him many times. And also, he has a victory over Canelo. So if he were to destroy or beat Bivol, then basically lets you know I can also beat Canelo using triangular reasoning, which doesn't always work, but you can make that argument if you're just trying to win an online argument. But what David could do is he can fight 3 fighters from the UK and touch and gain a new fan base in the UK. He can fight Callum Smith. He can fight Joshua Buatsi. He can also fight Anthony Yard. But make no mistake, Speed, he cannot dictate any terms when it comes down to the winner of February 22nd fight between Artur and Bivol. He has no leverage other than I'm your mandatory. But if he starts, playing this A side, B side, and I headline events and I sell out without Turkey money, it's like, no, dude. If you want money, Turkey's gonna give you your highest paycheck. If you want relevancy, if you want proper promotion, if you want to become a champion, you take those demands of a champion and you as a contender. You have to know your role, and he has to play his part. You get what I'm saying? So I know that he wants to fight and continues to fight in Las Vegas. That's great. But having new fight capitals of the world can be all over it's a worldwide sport. Sometimes the mecca of the sport is Las Vegas. At other times, it can be in the Philippines. Other times, right now, it's in Saudi Arabia. Because you go with the highest bidder. You get what I'm saying? And that's what David needs to do. You got to put your pride to the side and be like, oh, my fan base is here in the United States or in the southwestern states, right? It doesn't matter. You go where you either become a champion. For example, Errol Spence and Kell Brook. When they fought, it was Sheffield, England. I'm sure possibly Errol Spence might be able to sell more tickets than Kell Brook if they fought in Dallas, Texas. Probably a bigger population there. But you don't call the shots, Errol. You got to take your ass to the UK and fight the champion there. Same thing with Benavides. You have no belts, bro. You have to go where Artur and he causes shots right now, or the winner of Bivol and him. So it doesn't really matter. I'll say this. Whatever, you can't compare what Amazon has been doing or PBC has been doing the last 10 years and what Turki Al-Sheikh and DAZN have put into the sport of boxing. It's not even comparable in terms of the promotion, in terms of the relevancy. I didn't think Artur versus Bivol was an all-time classic of a fight. I thought both fighters played it safe. Both fighters didn't even want to throw body punches. Both fighters didn't even really press for the knockdown. They played it very safe, very nice, good, Eastern European boxing.
Yeah, but it's in the history books, right?
Pitbull Cruz Fierro fight, because the margin of error, you can't do those things. And, the stakes are much higher. So one mishap, fatigue starts to play, whatever the case may be, you're going to get dropped at this level, but be that as it may, it was still a relatively good fight. It was one that if you're really trying to study the sweet science, you're going to get a lot of knowledge and an extreme discipline from both fighters, a lot of feinting. And it was an incredible, beautiful night of boxing. But it wasn't what we witnessed between David and Morrel and Benavides. I mean, look at the face. You know what I mean? And Artur punches extremely hard, but he didn't have Bivol looking like that. Bivol had a couple of marks. He got hit a little bit. I don't even think none of these dudes bled. I could be wrong, but if I remember correctly, it was just a very good, beautiful skill. It was a chess match. When we got this Saturday of almost damn near all the fights, we got fucking fights. And I don't think, there's people that booed, but they booed Brandon Figueroa because that fight was not exciting. Speed, you said something like how that fight was exciting, but it didn't live up to. No, bro, that fight was horrible boxing. Not from Fulton's, but in Brandon Figueroa, it's like, no. When you guys fought damn near 5 years ago, did you not learn nothing from that first fight and you just tried to try to do it twice in the second one? Like, bro, where's your jab? Where's your jab to the stomach? Where's your combination punches? Take a step back and let Fulton give up, his athleticism. Don't get caught in between. Let him come to you. Nah, bro, Brandon Figueroa, he's just dumb, bro. He's just dumb. I don't know. I don't want to talk about him.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is these are the exact words, right?
Wait. He says the IBF mandatory will put himself beside for 2 times. The German weight since he beat Pascal. Beterbiev will KO Benavides in 3 rounds. Damn. I will say this. If Benavides doesn't fix his footwork, because he was already being squared up against the ropes already in 4 rounds, and that's where David Morrel was able to, wobble him. If that's Beterbiev and Beterbiev throws that short right hand in between there, yeah, David's getting dropped. He probably getting knocked out. And Two Countries comment, he said he's less confident in fighting Beterbiev. Absolutely, and as he should be. Beterbiev is all muscle. David does not hit as hard. The best thing that he can do when it comes down to Beterbiev is hope to age him out. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, he's not knocking. He can probably knock down Artur Beterbiev because I saw Callum Johnson do it, and I don't think Callum Johnson is nowhere near as skillful as David Benavides. But yeah, in between those punches, Artur and Dimitri Bivol, they're going to punch, and it would suit Benavides to have a familiar face in Bivol if he already shared sparring sessions. But just like Zurdo sparred, Bivol, and supposedly Zurdo got the best out of him when they fought, Zurdo only won 1-2 rounds. So it don't really matter, man. I think Artur beats David Benavides, but yeah, even then, David Benavides can go through that UK route and fight Anthony Yard, fight Joshua Buatsi and Callum Smith, and just build momentum and build a different fan base and just keep expanding. And those type of performances, people will pay top dollar, because I don't think anybody walked away and be like, man, I didn't get my money's worth. The whole fight, the whole undercard fights, everything, top tier. It was great. Good point, the Mexican G. Benavides is still younger and hungry. Did he say a comment here? He said,
nah, because he was saying Beterbiev is overhyped because he's white. I was like, what? I was like, good point. Wow.
Wait. Nah, that's funny. He's over because he's white. Nah, man. Beterbiev is everything that he's promoted to be. That dude is straight up Wolverine.
Sure.
Like that dude. That dude he's really good, bro. He's really good. He looks very stiff because of all that muscle, but his punches, bro, are very short, clean cut. It's very effortlessly.
Punch placement on point.
The only thing that Artur needs to really learn how to do is that left hook to the liver, because it's pretty much all headshots, uppercuts and hooks and stuff. So he's got the understanding of the, the short shot down where he never has to lunge and overcommit. But once he starts digging to the body, that's just another monster, another arsenal to his tool bag. And yeah, man, I don't know. I don't think right now David Benavides stands a chance. I think he only stands a chance against Canelo because he's much bigger than Canelo. And those punches, David's going to have the range, right? Because Canelo is like 5'6". Mm-hmm. So he has a good shot at beating Canelo just because he's much larger than him. But when you go up against somebody who has pretty much that can match his height, arm reach, like Beterbiev, I don't know, man. I see too much flaws that David still hasn't been able to correct from this fight and when he was 20 years old. And that's almost a span of a decade. So I don't know, man. He needs more discipline.
Yeah, I think Beterbiev's toughest opponent is Bivol, like vice versa, Like I don't think they. Yeah, I think Benavides is like an outsider looking in a sense. Like that's like a 1 and 2, bro. Like nobody has been able to go the distance with Beterbiev, besides Bivol,
Yeah.
And I think Beterbiev stops Canelo as well. Not enough footwork.
And Bivol had nice tight defense all around from the first round to the 12th and closing the punching lanes and the punching gaps where Artur could have landed. Mm-hmm. David doesn't do that. David sometimes fights with his hands down. He fights squared up. He overcommits to his athleticism of punches. You get what I'm saying? He doesn't really feint a lot. He doesn't really do pullback counters. And he's going to leave himself very susceptible to get punched in between straight punches. You get what I'm saying? And Arthur will capitalize on that. I would like to see Joe Smith Jr. versus Benavides. I just want to see more of Benavides with these other bigger fighters. I would honestly like to see a rematch versus Alexander Volstik, because if you couldn't knock him out, let alone drop him, let alone truly hurt him and penetrate that guard, good luck trying to do that against Bivol. I'm still very skeptical with David. It doesn't matter if he loses to these fighters. Like, come on, guys. If David Benavides loses to Arthur, it still doesn't mean that he's not a good fighter. If Arthur, if you get beat by Canelo or Bivol, these are great fighters. It's not like he's losing to Joshua Buatsi or Anthony Yard. Like, he's beating very good fighters, and if he were to lose, he's only losing to very good fighters. You get what I'm saying? So it doesn't really matter if he loses to Canelo, Better Beef, Zurdo. Those are very talented fighters, champions, multi-divisional champions. Like, for example, if Benavides gets outboxed by Bivol, guess what? So did Canelo. Is Canelo trash because Bivol beat him? So why is Benavides trash if Bivol outboxes him? If Arthur knocks out David Benavides, is Benavides trash? No. It's just that's how much greater Arthur is. Like, so, it doesn't really matter, bro. When we're talking about the elite fighters, these are the elite fights that we want to see and that need to happen. Because this is what's, I don't know, man. I feel so close that boxing is getting right back to its prime, where we might see these amazing fights on local channels backed by the biggest networks and advertisement that money can buy right now. It just feels that, like,
Yeah,
oh, man.
dude, let me add.
You know what I'm saying?
Because it's barely February, and it's like, dude, if you can do this every month, for me, I will be like happy, bro. I'll be like, dude, this year was by far like the most unforgettable year of boxing. If they could do this at least once a month, give it to me once a month. No Diddy, but yeah.
So you folks mind if I read a couple of these comments, right? Key Boomerang says the IBF mandatory will put himself aside for a second time. The German waits since he beat Pascal. Beterbiev will knock out Benavides in 3 rounds. Yeah, probably not. Probably not in 3 rounds, right? If at all. We should really ponder whether or not Beterbiev and Bivol are a secure win against Benavides, right? And we'll talk about that right now, because I think everybody's really counting out David Benavides because of some things says he got hit too much. Yeah, this is boxing, man. Beterbiev got hit too much. Bivol got hit too much, right? And they all lasted. Bivol lasted in the nearly 40-year-old Beterbiev, right? Okay. He's one of the best fighters in the world, and he's already fought Canelo. So, of course, he has that experience. And Beterbiev, he's been dropped before, guys. He's been dropped before. Imagine a 40-year-old man fighting a very young, very high output, come forward aggressor that's huge himself. I mean, it's easier said than done, but we'll talk about that right now. Right? New Country Good even for you. He says he's less confident in fighting Beterbiev, and I think that comes from that point that you made, homie, about how David Benavides prefers to fight Bivol should Bivol win, because he's had some prior experience with him before sparring, and of course we know that rumor about he ended up dropping Bivol from a body shot, and of course because he has already beaten Canelo, and the whole triangulation theory that if he were to beat Bivol, he in theory could have what it takes to beat Saul Santos Alvarez Barragan. But that's a very good point. We'll talk about that in a little bit, because there's a very, very smart and astute thing that David Benavides brought up. And just to go on, just to read a couple of these other comments, right? Beterbiev is older and more disciplined and never smoked or drink, according to Dream. And I don't know if you've ever been there following him around. How do you know he has never drank or smoked? He's Russian. That'd be crazy, bro. He's a Russian that doesn't drink vodka,
No, but
right?
I think he's practicing Muslim, so you know.
Yeah. And Muslims don't drink, right? Yeah. I know. Like DJ Khaled doesn't
And he's
party around with these hookers
But it's like,
putting their butt in his face,
another
right?
another.
but yeah, nay,
Yeah,
but
another one.
it's like you guys are were raised by, well, you guys are first generation,
Yeah,
and he's like really brought up in that culture, bro. Like I know some people are a little Americanized and they eat junk food and stuff like that. He's actually like cut from that cloth, bro. Like he don't even know. You got to know how bad American food is. Once you travel outside of the country, a lot of the food is like organic, and this guy, is not a drinker as it is, and he's not a
I, gu-
smoker.
I guess
Never
he's
even.
never seen those videos from India, homie. Where
What
people
happened?
are cooking with their feet and using their
Oh yeah, I
armpits to
see
get
that.
flavor. Nah, no, bro.
But is
No,
that
No,
India though?
you ever been to Mexico? Like, man, like
I
I
mean,
ate roly poly tacos, bro. Come on.
disgusting. But you know what I mean, though, right? Like it's
Yeah, I
just
know
more
what you mean.
organic. It's more organic.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
and yeah, I know this because Ness was telling pretty much I was telling him if he ever tried those black beans like sour cream, because I know it's like
Uh,
a Caribbean dish. He
yeah.
goes, bro, like that's actually like hella healthy for you. Like people out here don't eat that stuff, But the plátana and all that, it's like all organic. That's all they eat out there in these third world countries, But yeah, India. I didn't know what that video was from. That's why I was like, dude, I've seen that video where they just cook with their fucking with their feet. Disgusting. But yeah, man.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
new country. Yeah, Mexican. It's a disgusting place,
that,
man. Yeah,
well,
it's
but it better be, bro. He is cut from that cloth, from in his own country, and uh, yeah, man. This man is just
yeah. No, look, I respect the Russians and I respect the Muslims. I
and
believe that combination is
to
incredible.
add
Wait, hold on. You
bro.
guys said something before you guys start talking about how you guys are real cultured and you guys have tasted all the world's culinary arts that they've ever offered. Look,
I didn't say that.
you guys said something that Archer and David and Bivol got hit a lot. I want my championship fights for these fighters to risk it all.
Yeah, of course.
I want these guys to get hit. I mean, look, I'm praying for everybody great health and stuff, but I'm not trying to see Shakur Stevenson type of performance where they play so safe like amateurs. Hell no, this is prize fighting. I want to see if you can take a fucking punch. What are we talking about here? Oh, he gets hit too much. Oh, did you see David Benavides' face? Imagine if it's Archer. Yeah, imagine. We're gonna get a good ass fight. What are we talking about?
Hold on.
Scratch
You
that
know,
nonsense, man. That's
but
just
hold on. But what made the
you guys were talking about buffoonery and food.
oh yeah, that's health, right? Boxing is health. You got to cut weight and make weight. That's part of boxing. Eating is part of boxing. Health is part of boxing. But anyways, what's it called that see, man, you just went off on tangent, but
back in, man.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna really back in, but yeah, I was gonna say God, man. See, go ahead, man. I forgot.
Yeah, so going back to real fights, what you guys witnessed on Saturday are real fights. We're not worried about these guys. Listen, Ricardo Mayorga had a lot of fucking amazing performances against guys like Vernon Forrest. Hell, even the Shane Mosley, Oscar De La Hoya fights. Guess what? This guy used to fucking drink and smoke Cubans in the press conferences. I don't care. These guys are abstained from sex for 6 to 8 months. I don't give a fuck. I want these guys to come out and fight. I don't care what their dietary looks like unless I'm trying to mimic them in terms of their keto diet or the Paleolithic diets. None of that shit matters. I want my fighters, my championship fights. If I'm paying pay-per-view, I want to see great fights, just like the fights that we got on Saturday. Everything else is above and beneath me, bro. I don't care. I want to see proper buildups. I want to see true animosity, and I want to see these guys not kiss and make up. I want to see a second fight, a true. God damn it! I want to see.
And that's one of the things that disappointed me, homie. The fact that David Morrel and David Benavides acted like buddies at the end. You know what? I actually thought that they were quite, especially in the case of David Benavides. I really thought his antagonism towards David Morrel was true and honest when he was calling him a homosexual in Spanish, when he was calling him a female reproductive organ. In Spanish, when he was calling him all of these things, I really thought David hated David. And then all of a sudden, at the end, they decide to embrace and hug and ridiculous. I was like, bro, keep that same energy. F that. You guys are supposed to be enemies, according to Benavides. I will not respect you if you go over there and shake his hand. I want you to say at the end of the fight, F this guy. I told you I was gonna beat this PUSSY and keep it like that. Keep it like that, because if there is another fight, I want that same resentment, that same antagonism to repeat itself again. And to tell you the honest truth, a lot of people would love to see a rematch.
Well, Benavides did do that. After, the post-fight press conference, he went to Luis de Cuba Sr. and he told him, "Hey, I told you so." And then the trainer, manager, or whatever, he was like, he's like, "Hey, hit me or something," trying to antagonize David. And David was like, "Man, get the fuck out of here." You know what I mean? You probably just press charges trying to get more money out of me. No, I ain't giving you that, the satisfaction right here on the world.
Hey, hold on.
But man, I liked every single aspect of it. I like the build-up. I like the fights. I like, hell, even when we were talking, I was talking about the cheap shots, how that could have been a momentum switch, like Kasasi versus Joe Cordina. I like that late punch, because it's like Morrel saying, "Bro, I'm not letting you get a little second extra minute of time to punch me. I'm gonna hit you back," and boom, it was good, bro. It just lived up to it, bro. True animosity, true fighting. You know what I'm saying? To David Morrel's credit, he wasn't out there hugging David Benavides like Caleb Plant was. Caleb Plant was talking all this, hoopla noise all over to David Benavides. And what did he do after 5 rounds? He probably damn near hugged the man like he's like, "Daddy's home," 80 fucking times. And over there, Kenny Bayless looking at us didn't even deduct 1 point. Bro, at least David Morrel really wasn't clinching like that. You get what I'm saying? I mean, he was shelled up, but he was trying to punch back. Caleb Plant over here, after the going gets tough, is hugging for dear life. And then he tries to be friends with David Benavides. At least in this type of – this was a real fight. That's all I got to say. It was a real fight with true animosity. From the 1st to the 12th, both fighters had mean intentions, and they carried over to the post-fight. David Benavides still said his things and his noise to the trainers and to that camp. Bro, I can get behind that. You see, like Canelo versus Caleb Plant. These guys were saying, mother effer this, mother effer that, hoopty rock. And then he goes, "At the end, we are men. And men fight." And he goes, "When I was talking about mother effer, I wasn't talking about your mom. I lost my mom to like cop shooting." Don't, bro, push him. He just took your freaking glory. You get what I'm saying? And it was a nice touching moment. You can see that it was cathartic afterwards. They settled it in the ring. I get it. But man, sometimes I want to see true rivalries, because you don't see that in basketball. You don't see that in football anymore. All of you guys are in each other's podcast and be friends with one another. "Hey, dude, you want to go, get our nails done? There's this beauty parlor over here. All these fucking players are massaging themselves." Like, bro, what are we doing, bro? Fight.
You have to say so many curse words, homie Ricky.
Absolutely, bro. This
is a family show, man. It's not even 10 o'clock Pacific, bro. There's a lot of kids still out there, and you're just cursing and cursing when it's unnecessary, man. You're more educated than that.
There is no kids listening to these podcasts.
What are you talking about? I'm a big kid at heart.
Now, these are all grown men here. If you even know about my channel, which there's only a little bit, they're all adults, bro. They ain't no little kids. You know what I mean? They're just not.
Let me read a couple of these comments if you guys don't mind. Just because we have a very chatty commentary base tonight, and I really do appreciate the opportunity to read our listeners' comments, right? Mexican G and of course New Country are talking about diet and health and how expensive it is here in the United States of America. Absolutely, right? And it may just get more expensive, guys, because of all the Mexicans and all the Latinos going and protest and so forth and so on, because of these embargoes and tariffs that President Donald J. Trump is proposing to impose on the nation state of Mexico and Canada. So your maple syrup is going to come out to be very expensive, and so is your avocados. So it's only going to get more expensive, guys. Going back, of course, they're talking about Ricardo Majorga being quite hilarious, and of course, Buddy Romero being the next guy to replicate Majorga. Yeah, they're very similar. It seems history does repeat itself. Mr. Vince Vargas states the following: fellas, what are your thoughts on fighters touching gloves once the round is over? Okay, not the fight, but the round is over. Too nice or screw that. Don't give me the glove touch, sucker. The Mexican cheese, it says, with regards to what I talked about, Benavides being friendly with Morrel afterwards, he says, from personal experience, I lose any animosity I have for a person after I throw hands with them. And New Country says something different about that. The glove touching, I mean. So I I agree with the Mexican cheat. That's been my situation, right? That's been my personal experience about how it is that I handle a fight that I've had, a street fight that I've had, when there's been, a disagreement between myself and another man. We duke it out, win or lose, we shake hands. And in fact, a lot of the times I became friends with the people that I fought, right? But those fights took place because of they took place because of misunderstandings for the most part, right? Somebody thought I did or said something, rumors, and then that escalated. Of course, we didn't want to fight, but we have to defend ourselves and our honor and our persona. So we fight, right? And the other fights that I had were because I was being bullied. Always the smaller, thinner individual with the messed up hair and the crooked teeth that always leads to people bullying you. And of course, I had to fend these guys off physically. Those guys, I never really befriended them because there was some personal issues going on, right? You don't become friends with your tormentor, right? So it just really depends, the Mexican, but I do know how to be friends with a man that I've scrapped with before. Absolutely, right? But in the case of what I saw with David, it was just a bit different. And of course, I'm not talking about the end of a round. I'm talking about the whole fight in general. I really would have wished that Benavides kept that antagonism, that resentment towards his nemesis, because I thought that it was very personal on his end. Now it just seems that it was quite, and maybe you can say it's personal. It's always personal because it's your life on the line. I get that. But there's professional, fights, and you don't really necessarily hate the other guy, but David acted like he hated this guy, right? You don't call a man a female member, right? Or a homosexual,
So
unless you
This
really
is
hate this
what
individual.
this is.
so
This
what?
is why. This is
Period.
why. This is why I knew like they were. David was kind of faking it, is because the dad Jose, he Morrel was actually talking hella shit to him. I forget exactly what he said, but he actually called him a couple of names, and in a statement I remember, and he actually acknowledged it, and like they were at a fight together. I think it was like at a tank fight, and they were like acknowledging each other, and they were smiling at each other, and they were like, like talking and all that. And I was like, man, where was all that animosity? So
Yep.
to me, it was kind of like fake a little bit. And honestly, like I don't really care that they beef or not, because they gotta pretty much. I like when they don't get too personal. I like when they communicate and have that mental warfare. So for some people, the mental warfare isn't enough. To me, I look at the person who he is, and like say like Frank Martin, right? To me, he got really bullied in that press conference, to mentally, but for if you were to actually beat Tank, those types of stories, it's like, bro, like that's a good story. It's like the bully finally gets beat up type of thing, and if you weren't so I wouldn't say if you didn't. I wouldn't say put down, but if you weren't you, then that storyline wouldn't have come into fruition. But I mean, it never did. But I know this isn't like a storybook ending, but I mean, sometimes the bully gets bullied, bro, and you don't want a fighter to act like someone he's not. You know, just because I gravitate towards people who are a little more honest. You know, yeah. So I think yeah, I don't really like gravitate too much of it just because like that's why they just got to get the loudest people in the field, like in the division, and have them go at it. That's how you make a good press conference, because it's organic, and you get to have a lot of publicity around the fight. I'm against all that. I'm against doing all that just because it's going to result to fighters being fake. And
you know how. Oh, what do you mean fake? Who's fake? Who would be fake by this? David Benavides would be fake?
No. I mean, because he wasn't trying to fake nothing now.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, he's not trying to fake. Like, he genuinely isn't mad at David Morrel. Why is he going to hold on to anger for another 3-4 years until they fight again? Like, you're gonna hold on to those, like, so. And they
might have a reason to be angry though, Dream, because like the Mexican G mentions, Morrel called Jose Benavides Sr. a PUSSY over Twitter. That's where the animosity came from.
But there's a thing though, like they speak different languages, and I feel like there's certain disrespect words that don't hit the same to them. Him calling them a pussy isn't like what is that? Like, to me, you gotta start to like accuse me or something, like that's how I'm gonna feel attacked. But Morrel just calling him a pussy, it's just not enough. You're not getting like the whole Tank Crawford stuff. That right there is like you're getting hot. It's getting hot right there, But Morrel and David, there's not enough substance for them to beef about, like it's just like he didn't mention his kids, he didn't mention none of that. He's not about that. So I rather have them not be about that and not force themselves to be about that. Just be themselves. Because again, I'm gonna watch it again if it happens again. So they didn't have to do all that for me, in my opinion. What do you think?
Yeah, well, so look, okay, I'm being only critical of Benavides's post-fight attitude, right? Because look, I was a bit divided about the whole build-up, right? The whole press conferences and everything like that. Because here's the thing, right? When it comes to boxing, this is what I've always said. It's natural for you to become a fan of a man or a fan of a fighter, not because they look like you or come from the same country as you. Maybe you can start it off or look like you or whatever, but mostly you're going to become a fan of an individual, and you should become a fan of an individual if they entertain you and if their fights are exciting, right? That's what we should want out of a boxing of the boxing sport, right? Fans that appreciate the fighters for the entertainment value and their excitement, and not necessarily because of their triumph, right? Because in that case, guess what? Everybody should be a favorite of Beterbiev. Everybody should be a fan of Shakur Stevens. Everybody should only be fans of the guys that win and never lose none, right? Because if you just want to be on the winning side, there's many ways to follow those kind of fighters, but that'll lead to fights where the fighters are very choosy with who they face themselves against. They'll be very defensive, backwards fighters, jabbers, those guys that just jab and run, very amateur style, right? And those fights, in my opinion, are not very entertaining. As much as you want to be a boxing snob and say that you're the sweet science, I don't care. You're not going to pay $80 for a boxing masterclass.
It doesn't reflect your attitude, right? Like if he was talking all this shit and he just outboxes them, it just doesn't it doesn't match you,
Exactly.
Just say I'm the best boxer in the world and I'm gonna just outbox you. I don't know, like like having like I'm not trying to say that's Devin, but Devin should have just been like, I'm gonna outclass you or something, not like I'm gonna beat the shit out of you. You know, I don't know. It's just it doesn't match that. You know,
Mhm.
I don't feel like I got my ass beat. I feel like we've just played fence. Like I feel like we just fenced right now in the UK. You know,
Yeah.
but yeah. So I don't know.
but 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 the next thing, in my opinion, that makes a person become a fan of another, of a fighter, is because of the things that they have in common, right? And one of the things that I have in common with certain fighters, like, Vasily Lomachenko and Miguel Cotto, and all those fighters that I've been fans of before, after the excitement value, of course, is their conduct. Does their conduct correspond with my understanding of what a proper, respectful individual is? And why do I focus on the proper and respectful individual? Because I like to carry myself as a proper and respectful individual with those around me, whether the people that I know or the strangers, right? So if I find I'm very similar to a fighter, I'm going to start gravitating towards that fighter because they resemble what I'm like, right? So the commonalities. So that means I can, become a fan of a white fighter, a black fighter, a Afghani fighter, whatever. Because one, are they exciting? Yes. Two, do they, do they have a conduct or an attitude similar to yours because you relate to them personally? And in the case of, the fighters that I'm a fan of, yes, they do. But in the case of David Benavides, right? If you know anything about Mexicans, right? Real Mexicans, right? You know that for the most part, they're very hardworking and they're humble people, and they don't go, getting too loud and everything, right? They've never been, for the most part, clownish. You have the gangster types, and they're very, loud and crass, and even aggressive and show offy, I guess you can say, but not like other cultures. Um, but going back to these things, David Benavides was being very much a loudmouth, and that's very atypical, and 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 the completely opposite of what we tend to know of a Mexican fighter, right? So when he started acting like that, he really turned me off, Dream. He really turned me off, and I was quite surprised at Morrel's very mature and respectful demeanor towards the offenses. When David Benavides called him a PUSSY or other worse names, David Morrel never, stooped down to his level. He kept his composure. He was cool, calm, and collected. Meanwhile, David Benavides was calling this guy a coward, insinuating that he was fearful of him when he was the loudmouth, when he was acting very erratic, when he was the one who was breathing and hyperventilating deeply. You tell me, Dream. You said you knew the reason why David Benavides was breathing so profoundly. Why was he breathing like that?
uh, why why was he breathing? You're talking about before the fight or during the
Yeah,
fight?
before they walked in, he
No, you
looked
guys are
very distraught.
overreacting.
Yeah,
You guys are
did you see it or no?
Yeah, I seen it. I think you guys. I think Rick was saying like, oh no, either you or Rick, I forget. Um, so it is a thing. Like when you point out things like that, sometimes you're right, sometimes you're wrong, and I feel like with the higher level guys, I don't you can't question nothing that happens before the fight, like in the locker room. I think
Mhm.
they've gone through it too much for you to question anything, and dudes like Benavides, it's like I don't care what he does. You could like make all the funny faces. He's proven to me to show up on fight night under the big bright lights. And when I seen that, I mean, I've I've seen my uncle make funny faces one time, and I was like, "You good, bro?" And he's just like, "Nah, bro, I'm just flexing my face like for the fight." I was like, "Oh shit!" Like, he's just like stretching his skin out. He's like trying to like so he can open up his eyes more. Like he just I don't know. It's just little instances where like fighters make these grinning faces to like to break into their muscles on their face, you know, because your face has muscles, you know.
Yeah.
So some it could have been something like that where Benavides was really trying to like dig deep in his in his lung capacity and like hit the bottom of his of his what's the word the bottom part. This it has to do with the
Yeah.
diaphragm, you know.
Diaphragm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's really trying to like, you know, open up his lungs as much as he could, and it just somebody said, "Why is he looking like that?" All this, and his eyes are wide open. He was making this face where his eyes were like wide open, and the camera was pointing at him, and he did not even bother to look at the camera once. And
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
just,
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, that's that moment. So
yeah, yeah,
with look, I really was nervous. I thought the reason why
tripping.
David Benavides was so loud and calling the guy so many names, even though he shouldn't have that kind of personal animosity against Morrel. I thought it was because he was very nervous, right? He knew he was fighting a young fighter that had almost killed a man. Let's remember that he put a man in a state of coma that that never fought again, right? This guy is a rampager. David Morrell is somebody that's very technical, comes from the technical, very highly technical school of Cuban boxing, very good counter puncher, very good, counter puncher, very good mobile fighter, very skillful and quite powerful. Right? He knew he was fighting that guy. Maybe he didn't have the kind of experience, but guess what? Something seemed to rattle Benavides. Maybe because Morrel called his father a Pussy. Maybe because Morrel was, taking the abuse without acting too startled. But it seemed to me that David Benavides was the one who was very, very nervous. And in fact, when it showed David Benavides sitting down, looking into the distance and breathing very heavily, both my father and I and Rick, we looked at each other and we're like, uh oh, does this guy look nervous to you? And my dad's like, yeah, he looks very nervous. And then they switched the camera, it shifted over to Morel's training, his locker room, and David Morel was basically dancing like samba or something. He was all smiles and happy, and everybody was laughing and all kinds of stuff. And the other locker room was all serious and somber. Right? When you put all of those things together, you're like, man, oh man, is this the reason why Benavides was acting this way? Right? Now, of course, what matters at the end is not necessarily what they say or otherwise. It's whether or not the words match their aggression at the buildup. And yes, in that case, absolutely. That fight lived up to the moment. They fought like they personally hated each other, right? They really fought with so much vigor, so much desire to win, and it was very, very good, man. I was very impressed that especially David Benavides, he talked the talk. He looked nervous, and I was a bit skeptical whether or not he would fight the way, but he actually fought that way. He talked the talk and walked the walk, and that was incredible. I guess that's what matters. Now, Dream, I do want to say one thing, right? Vince Vargas is good for boxing. That everybody got what they paid for. Absolutely. Turki Ali Sheik said that he wanted David Benavides to take on the winner of Bivol versus Petrviev, right? And of course, we already talked about how Benavides says that he wants to fight in Las Vegas only. So we know that the likelihood of Turki Ali Sheik bowing down and saying, "Okay, I'll bring on one of the biggest fights to the U.S. instead of Saudi Arabia," even though his obligation is to entertain the Saudi fans, that's very unlikely. But here's the thing: David Benavides did say something very, very astute of him, right? Now, you know that David Benavides, he's the interim WBC belt holder, which means that he can ask for a fight with the winner of these guys, especially if Beterbiev wins, right? Now, if Bivol wins, then Bivol would have all four belts, and then that would mean that I guess he would fight Bivol. That's fine. But he did say something very smart. He said that Turki Al-Sheikh invited him to February 22nd to Saudi Arabia to watch the fight between Beterbiev and Bivol, and he said he's going. Right? He said that he discussed it with his father, and that they are gonna go to. February. He says my dad talked to him on the phone, referring to Turki Al-Sheikh. We'll go over there to Riyadh on February the 22nd, and we'll probably figure everything out if Bivol wins again. Correction, he meant Beterbiev, right? Or if Bivol wins. It's probably too much of a long time. Here's the thing he said, right? If Bivol wins this fight, they'll have to do a rubber match. Who am I to say that they can't fight each other? They would have fought twice. If that happens, that means my fight between any of them, they wouldn't take place not until they're done. That is very smart of him, because we never actually considered that Bivol would beat Beterbiev. And if he beats Beterbiev, why wouldn't they have a rubber match?
And you know what that affects, right? I mean, dude, Canelo been wanting that rematch, man, dude. So I'm not sure how finalized things are with the 3-fight deal with Turki and Canelo, but I know that means a lot to Canelo getting that lick back, you know. And
at 175, you mean?
Yeah, 175
with Bivol.
Yeah, with Bivol. If Bivol were to win, he wants that rematch. I mean, that's what I heard, you know. And obviously, if Canelo were to offer that to Bivol and he had to decide between Benavides and Canelo, I think he would take that Canelo bag, you know. But yeah, man, I think if Beterbiev wins, I think Canelo will just go on to do those 3 fights. Not, who knows? Maybe that 3rd fight will be the winner of, because I think Beterbiev wins, and I think he will win. Beterbiev and Benavides. Maybe Canelo gets the winner of that one, and maybe, and like I said before, the only way that happens the only way a Benavides Canelo fight happens is if he gets through one of those guys, the winner of that. That's the only way, and I just don't see it happening, man. So
who do you think Canelo's first fight for Turki Al-Sheikh will be if they finalize that 3-fight deal? William Score or what?
No, it's gonna be Jake Paul. Crazy, huh?
No, the first fight.
Oh yeah. Jake Paul. Yeah.
What are you talking about? Bro. What are you talking about?
Dude, it's some crazy shit, right? Yeah.
Tell me where you read this. What's going on?
What's going on?
Yeah, bro. I don't know. What do you mean?
Dude, I literally sent this to Rick. It's everywhere. It's I can show you multiple sources saying that. There's a 3-fight deal in place. And 3-fight deal in place, and pretty much Jake Paul is rumored to fight Canelo in May. And dude, that's
come on,
ridiculous,
bro.
Right? That's so. I mean, dude,
I've only heard of Jake Paul versus Logan Paul,
and that's what we heard at first, like last week, right? And then I said that was horrible. Now it's Canelo, and it's like, dude, that's some BS. You know, that's some BS right there. I mean, I would think Canelo would have the decency to retire, say, "Oh, I'm retired, but I'll still do exhibition matches with such and such." You know, like I'll drop all the titles and let you guys know I'm not serious about it, and I'll fight Jake Paul. You know, like I thought he was gonna do that, but he wants to keep belts and fight this dude that's literally not a boxer.
Who said this?
I'm looking for it right now. Big sources, but hold on. I'm gonna send it.
Big sources, you said.
Yeah. Boxing Worldwide, which has like 136K followers. I just sent it to you right now on Instagram. But those are Turkey's or Canelo's plans right there with Rider season. And I guess he already agreed to fight Jake, or he pretty much agreed to fight Terrence as well. I don't know who that 3rd fight is, but my guess is that he moves back up and messes with those 3 guys that we just named: Bivol, Benavides, or Beterbiev. You know, so yeah, it's just crazy, man. And this is the thing, though. It could be somebody else, though, just because this guy Canelo, man, he wants to fight until he's what, 38, he said? Like he said he got like 8 more fights in him, and I'm like, who are those 8 fights? You're gonna have to fight. I mean, he probably feels really good about Benavides fight now. He's like, oh yeah, like let me just get ready, like for that. But he wants to fight 8 more times, so that's a 3-fight deal. He's still got 5 more fights to go. So I think he wants to strike the Jake Paul pot before he dims down. Maybe he doesn't dim down, but maybe in hindsight he will dim down as popularity wise, and he will look at that as like a missed opportunity. Maybe, I don't know. Hold on, I'm gonna cough real quick. Oh, speed, I'm coughing. Damn.
Yeah.
All right, man. Sorry, dude. I had to like go on a little coughing range right now. But yeah, man. That's really the only way, bro. And I just sent it to you right now, Rick. I mean, Speed, on Instagram. So those are his plans in Vegas. And what can you do now? I predicted he would fight Jake Paul, just not this soon. I thought he was gonna drop belts and say, I'm a retired fighter doing, exhibition matches, which is respectable. So I don't know. It is what it is. Rick is saying let's go to the Crawford fight. Low key, he does not know how expensive that will be. Because by the time we start to look for seats, he's gonna be like, how's the view? It's like, let's just go. Like, I don't like, we're not gonna be able to. I keep telling you this. It's like a circulating. You keep going in circles. I'm like
So
just like, how's the view? And that's like, they don't have views. They don't show you the view. It's either this or take it or leave it because it's gonna be gone in about an hour.
okay. Before everybody starts going crazy and believing what rumors Dream seems to be believing, right? The Mexican G is saying Canelo is a clown if he fights Jake Paul. Everybody should boycott this fight. New country is saying, oh damn, that would be cringe ASF. And Canelo is not Mexican. Real Mexican fighters don't entertain clown shows. Canelo will fight Clarissa Shields, bare knuckles. Man, now I'm rooting for Crawford to knock out Canelo. Guys, before you guys go crazy on rumors, right? Let me just read to you a couple of the things that most recently took place, right? If you guys don't know this, right? Jake Paul brought up fighting his own brother, right? And that broke the internet. Like that literally became a viral point of conversation, guys. Two fighting brothers that are very athletic going heads up to fight each other, which is obviously a cash grab, obviously a conflict of interest, obviously a frivolous fight because these guys would not go balls to the wall to kill each other. They would literally take your money, laugh all the way to the bank because they would give it a half-assed effort, and at the end of the day, Jake Paul would win. Why? Because Logan Paul hasn't fought in about 4 years. He only has about 2 professional fights, guys, and they're both misfit type fights. So this is something that broke the internet because one, it's something to talk about, right? We have so many boxers like Shakur Stevens and Keyshawn Davis that says, "Oh, I would never fight my brother," when they're not even real brothers, right? And if these real brothers were to fight each other, that would be very controversial. That's one thing.
But there's no rumors about them even negotiating a fight together with the promoter.
They don't have to. They're brothers, right? And here's the other thing.
They need a network, though.
They have Netflix.
But they will be rumors. That's what I'm saying. There will be rumors that they're talking to Netflix, to this guy, to this person.
No. All it is, look, how long did Mike Tyson and Jake Paul take? It took a year and something to build up. Yeah, that's all it'll take.
They've been talking about it, though. There was rumors that they were talking to Netflix. So that's why with this, that link that I showed you, they're talking to Turkey. Turkey's opening up his mouth and saying this is this and this and this is happening, and
We'll
and
look
it's
at
coming out true.
that, right. We'll look at that one right now. Going
Okay.
on just in the past few weeks, guys, Jake Paul was rumored to be negotiating with Conor McGregor. Right now, that in and of itself is a huge fight too. And how do I know that that fight actually has some validity? Has some tinge of reasonableness. Why? Well, because I know you guys don't fight bare knuckle boxing championship, but BKFC is partially owned by Conor McGregor, and Conor McGregor just in the last big event, which actually was this weekend, but the one before 2 weeks ago on Saturday, they had Knucklemania. He stepped up to the champion at light heavyweight, bare knuckle fighting, and he said he would take on that fight. Now, I do believe Conor McGregor will fight bare knuckle against the champion. But even if he doesn't, he is still talking about making a return back to the pugilistic arts. Right. So if it's Jake Paul, or if it's a bare knuckle champion or anybody, I really do believe Conor McGregor wants to come back. Now, that fight has some legs behind it, but not as much as Jake Paul, you know, tickling a fight with his brother, which again broke the internet. Now, going back, reading more about these reports, the very first person that reported this was a journalist by the name of Julius Julianis. He reported on Monday that Paul and Canelo Alvarez had agreed to square off in May for a Cinco de Mayo event. He revealed that proposed Paul versus Alvarez fight would be co-promoted by Most Valuable Promotions, Premier Boxing Champions, and Canelo Promotions. Notice right there, Dream, that nowhere there does it say Riyadh Season or Turkey Al Sheikh. Right? Now, going on, Paul took to social media to reveal his boxing return date and location, and he contradicted the initial Alvarez fights report. He actually gives a date in September. He doesn't say nothing about May. So this rumor obviously is a bit um, in disagreement with what Jake Paul is actually saying. He says that he would return to fight somebody, like Conor McGregor.
Okay, but who's making the fights happen and who's not? Like who's actually talking the most and making the most happen, and who's talking just as much but not making as much happen as the others?
No, we'll read the other report, man. We'll read
Oh,
right now. We'll read another report. Don't get too excited, man. We'll get there. And going back again, this is what Jake Paul said. He contradicted the Alvarez fight.
hmm.
He says this is what he tweeted himself. Right? He tweeted, "Why? This is crazy." He says, "Why the f would I give him, Canelo, a payday? When I beat him, it would be the same bush and lies that Canelo was too small and Jake Paul paid him off." Now, one thing that we know about Canelo, right, is that Canelo does not like to be played around with. Canelo is a very serious individual. He's so serious, in fact, that he will not accept any level of disrespect, because if you disrespect him, he won't fight you. He did it with Andrade. He did it with Benavides. If you start calling him out and you put him on the spot, he will walk away from those fights and he won't fight you. In fact, he'll move up in weight instead of becoming a three-time undisputed fighter by fighting at middleweight. He actually avoided becoming an undisputed fighter at 160 because I guess he didn't like what Andrade had to say about him, right? So if Jake Paul is starting to talk in this way in fashion about Canelo, I assure you, Canelo's not gonna take that lightly, right? Now let's go to this report that you're sending me, right? Let's see. Canelo versus Jake. MVP World Champion. It will happen. Sphere Las Vegas. NV. It was Boxing PUTA COS. Okay. Let me see. Alvarez plans. May has agreed fight with Jake Paul, followed by has agreed 3-fight deal with Turki Ali Sheik. The first fight deal will take place in September. Obviously, Mr. Vince Vargas mentioned that it would be in September against Terrence Bud Crawford. That's in negotiations apparently. And then it goes on to say has agreed they would be against Crawford. These are Dream. Where did you send me these? Where is it at? Okay. No, you have not sent me nothing. These are not posts by Turki Ali Sheik at all. They're by some place called Boxing Worldwide and Boxing Putazos.
Oh, my bad.
Where is Turki Ali Sheik in this?
My bad. Let me send it to you. Let me send you the ESPN one.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. Let me send you the ESPN one. There you go.
Yeah, because this does not look okay. Post by ESPN. All right. Okay. Let's read this. ESPN breaking news: Canelo Alvarez and Terrence Bud Crawford are in the process of finalizing a deal for a September 13th super middleweight championship fight in Las Vegas. Sources told at Mike Coppinger. Turki Ali Sheik, the share of Saudi Arabia's General Entertainment Authority, is organizing the fight. That's between Terrence Bud Crawford and Canelo. There are no signed contracts yet, sources said. Where does this guy mention Jake Paul?
Who?
Where is Jake Paul mentioned by Turki Ali Sheik?
I don't know about Turki Ali Sheik and Jake Paul, but I do know Terrence and Crawford are going at it.
Yeah, but I'm looking for the rumors of Canelo and Jake Paul. You got
that was the point I was trying to make, but you aren't letting me. So that's what I'm saying. The guy that's talking the most is making the most happen, and he's actually making fights happen. We got to start believing in that.
Jake Paul, you mean?
No, Terrence and Crawford is signed off. It's official, and Turki is pretty much in negotiations with Canelo with the Jake fight, because Jake is no longer the A side in this fight. So it's coming from their side. Turki is actually the one that's making it happen, not Jake. So I think it will happen, bro, because he's actually under the Ring magazine. He controls all that shit. So I think it will happen if ESPN, I mean, once ESPN says Jake Paul, then that's when I'll believe it. But yeah, bro, it's signed off. I mean, it already says 3-fight deal,
Well, no. Well, actually, it says that there is no signature yet. That's the one thing it says right here. So no
agreement.
Yeah, but man, that's nothing, man. I'm telling you, that is not an agreement at all, right? It's ESPN, right? Let's see.
ESPN, right? So
Turki Ali Sheik, the chairman of Saudi Arabia's General Entertainment Authority, is organizing the fight. There are no signed contracts yet, sources said. So what I'm trying to get at, right?
Pessimistic now.
Yeah. No. Well, Turki will make that fight happen. Turki wants that fight. Yeah, but I'm talking about Jake Paul. You said that the next fight for Canelo on May is going to be Jake Paul. And the reason you said that is because there are two rumors by some no-names, Julius Julianis, this stupid boxing channel on Instagram called Boxing Putazos, and by some place called Boxing Worldwide 1. Those are ridiculous takes, guys.
Country, do you know the sources he's saying? One source is 137K on Instagram, and the other one is like a meme page. But the Boxing Worldwide, is actually pretty credible. They're pretty credible, and they actually call into like a lot of the shows. So, and
you know what? I would bet you, if I was a betting man, I'd bet you $5 that does not take place. I would bet you $50 that William Sco is next.
I wouldn't bet you that, because I would believe that would happen, because that would make sense for boxing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why would Canelo?
It's a weird move.
Where does
it would be a weird move by Canelo? Like I said, he needs to retire first and then do that.
Look, Turki Ali Sheik is not a fan of frivolous circus fights. He's not a fan of misfits.
Yeah, no, I agree. He's not invested in that. So
Yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, before we start doubting Canelo and saying that you wouldn't support him or he's not Mexican, guys, he's not fighting Jake Paul. He's not fighting Jake Paul, right? That's just not gonna happen, guys. We can go back to thinking that Canelo is one of the best fighters in the world in the current era, right? That's
but hold
um
on, but you still gotta leave that open, bro. Like no fight has been confirmed, and you could still be wrong. You gotta give it that cushion. Give yourself that cushion. Give
yeah,
yourself
we'll
the
give it a
cushion to be
cushion.
wrong.
Yeah, no, well, I mean, it's a big fight. Obviously, it would not only break the internet, it would break pay-per-view numbers, right? Because again, the reason why I follow things such as Misfits and all of these things, I really,
You just
really
called it a
follow them.
circus, by the way. You just called that a
Yeah,
circus. By the way.
yeah, because you guys do, but I actually follow them, and they're actually quite circus-like.
Entertaining. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, absolutely, because they're
Oh.
entertaining, right? And because I like to be in touch with the modern generation, right? I like to understand people, and
I'd rather
this is
just
what the
go to a real circus. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
no, you wouldn't, bro. No, you wouldn't. Trust me, circuses are they're
I'll
scary
play.
places, bro. There's
It's sad now.
people flying in the air and clowns. You like clowns?
Nah.
All right, yeah, you don't want to go to a circus, bro. Bare Knuckle says, "Oh yeah, I like BKSC. I love watching it. Unfortunately, a lot of my fellow fans don't for some odd reason.
It
Well,
hasn't caught on. It hasn't caught on
yeah,
to the
but
media
you know
yet.
what? Yeah, but the reason why it hasn't caught on, New Country and even You Dream, is because well,
The
people don't
slap,
know about it.
but
See,
the slaps are actually coming up faster. No.
yeah, because they're related to Dana White, right? But
Hmm.
now with the Conor Ben having involved himself with BKFC, I'll tell you what. If you guys like MMA, if you guys like the UFC, but you guys hate the ground and pound, the long, laborious, tedious entanglement that takes place on the floor that leads to minutes of inactivity, just a guy trying to boa constrict another man for the longest time, or doing
Only.
some HOMO looking moves on the
Yeah.
guy. If you guys are into the MMA part, but the stand up game, right? Because the gloves are
Hold on.
smaller, the punches hurt more, they bleed more, but you just hate the ground and pound. That's BKFC. It's basically boxing
Uh,
with no gloves, guys. Why would you guys not like it? Oh, the sweet science, they know how to jab. Bro, who cares? They're going to bleed. They're
yeah.
going to bleed. They're going to knock each other out. This is what we're here for.
Yeah, I like when it's pure though. Like for me, not to like switch the subject because I wrestled and I like NCAA wrestling. Like when it comes down to that, like no punches are being thrown. I like it's really like strength for strength, bro. But like that's just because I've been in those singlets before and I know how tough that shit is. But definitely like hate that when I see myself in your position, I'm gonna just start elbowing the shit out of you. Like if we're not getting anywhere on the floor, like I don't see nothing progressive about wrestling with someone on the ground without hitting them, you know. So yeah,
Like jiu-jitsu, you mean?
like what?
Like
Jiu-jitsu, yeah,
jiu-jitsu.
yeah.
Yeah,
Jiu-jitsu's like
yeah.
yeah. It's I'm not educated like that, but jiu-jitsu you don't get to hit. Um, But dude, I do have a respect for MMA fighters. I mean MMA fighters for wrestlers, NCAA wrestlers because they gotta cut weight and they gotta have a diet like boxers do, you know.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, yeah.
that's why I respect them too.
Yeah. So Vince Vargas says boxing only for me. Sweet science. Well, Vince,
You ever wrestled
I'm
with
gonna
a
tell you.
strong motherfucker? Sheesh.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
it's 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 what's the word I'm looking for? It's like it's very demoralizing when they when someone's stronger than you and just out
yeah.
wrestling
And
you,
you
bro.
can't do nothing. Yeah,
No, it's
they baby brother
demoralizing.
you.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
sucks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is demoralizing, absolutely frustrating, and yeah, it makes you reevaluate your manhood. Um,
yeah.
uh, Vince, look, bare knuckle is boxing. It's just there's no gloves. There's just like a piece of tape wrapped around
They need to
the
catch up then.
wrist.
They need to catch up a lot on skills then. Like yeah,
Well,
exactly. Country just
look,
literally just said what I just said, and
what?
not a lot of skills involved. But that and honestly, that's because they're not signing the boxers haven't migrated there yet. I think
Well, we do have El Perro
but
Angulo,
you're pairing. I know,
and we also have
but
Austin Trout,
but
who's
you're
about to fight in 2 weeks.
I know,
So and he's
but Perro
uh,
is actually you seeing how much he's sticking out, and he's a dude. He would get knocked out by I don't know who, but a level C fighter maybe, because he's there to get hit. But in reality, boxers actually hit hard. So once they start to migrate to the BKFC, if the money goes up, because it's a money thing, the journeyman in boxing is actually going to choose boxing over BKFC because, I mean, they don't have the popularity. You need popularity actually to go to the BKFC. I feel like to do a good transition and actually make good money. Um, but once the money goes up and the talent starts to migrate over there, you're gonna start to see these waves of boxers start to dominate in BKFC, you know. But they're gonna go through way more facial damage, and they're not gonna be able to. If they decide to come back to boxing, they're gonna get cut like in an instant.
yeah, no. You don't do that. You don't do that. You don't go from BKFC to boxing. You go from boxing to BKFC when
Right.
you're out the door. That's really what it is. That's why you're seeing fighters like Austin Trout, Pali
But
Malignaggi,
what if
Pedro Angulo, because they're not actively
what if the wages
participating in boxing,
what if
right?
the wages go up? What if the wages go up and they start to be enticing to these fighters and they're like, I can outbox him, you know, I can do that, you know, like
What do you mean?
like what I'm saying is I think those sports are gonna grow. Like
Yeah,
I
of
see,
course, it's gonna
like
absolutely grow. It's the
like
fastest growing martial arts sport in the world.
yeah, they're gonna
It's the
grow.
biggest promotion in the world.
They're,
That's growing faster than anybody.
they're gonna grow because yeah, they're gonna grow, and especially that slapping shit too. I
No,
can
that's
see a
not
lot
gonna
of
grow.
no. Why?
No,
What's
and
that?
I will explain to you why, right?
Why?
Because I've been watching slap fighting since it started, um, and really it boils down to luck, right? Like a lot of the time, it
I
really
think
boils down to whether or not you called the coin toss right. Right? Because it doesn't take a lot to knock out a person from a very well placed slap from people who's been training to slap another man in the face. All it takes really I don't know. Do you know the flaws of slap fighting? It has incredible flaws, inherent flaws that make it so that even the ones that are losing win. Right? I know about this sport because I've been watching it a lot. One, if you win the coin toss, right, you're always gonna pick to slap first, and a lot of the fights end in one slap. Secondly, if you're cupping, right, which is
so.
where you like when you slap with a cup and you hit in the ear or in places
Mm,
besides the cheek, like around the neck or in the back of the head or stuff
I
like
forgot
that.
about that.
Yeah, that leads to a point deduction. But
Yeah,
you got to
Vegas.
understand one thing. Yeah, but you got to understand one thing. The point deduction, the reason that is frowned upon is because the punches where they land can be much more devastating than in the face. Like, for example, if you slap a person in the jugular, bro, you're basically cutting for a few seconds the airflow to their brain, right?
Yeah,
If you hit a person in the ear or in the temple, right, you're gonna rattle
to
their
break the neck.
inertia. It's
Because,
well, you're gonna make it. You're gonna put him through vertigo, and you know what happens when that takes place? All it is a point deduction, but you already have the physical advantages for the other guy to one, not be stable enough on his feet because he's already partially suffering from the
yeah,
rattle of the strike.
now he's not
Two,
gonna punch you as hard.
exactly. There you go. So now he's rattled. Now he's weaker, and guess what? You are at an advantage. Then you can now rattle him even more so. So it's cumulative. It's
Uh,
cumulative. It's cumulative damage. So
would you?
really, once this is what they have to do, right? Okay, if you cup or you hit anywhere else besides the cheek, immediate defeat. There shouldn't be any other slaps after it, but they haven't corrected that. Why? Because a lot of these fights would end quite easily in the very first misplaced slap. And
Yeah,
again, secondly, I cannot stress the importance of winning the coin toss. If you win the
bro.
coin toss, rest assured, bro, you have the advantage, bro. It's like home field advantage no
I,
matter what.
I know a guy. I know a guy who would dominate the slap games. Angel Fierro. He would take that shit.
Yeah,
Angel
because of the
Fierro,
chin.
bro. Angel Fierro would go through that whole fucking list of people. Whoever's in that division, he will go through them all, bro.
So look, here's the solution. Here's the solution. If you cup or you hit on the neck or you hit in the ear, and not because of the person moving, right? Like the person moved their head. In fact, I would actually say that they should make the person that's about to be slapped, they should make him close their eyes. And they should penalize him if they open them. Why? Because the fact that they open up their eyes allows them to it's good because you're tensing up, right? But the problem is when you know that the punch is slapping, some people flinch, and the flinching part leads to misplaced punches, and then you're robbing the other fighter of getting a perfect slap that may have led to a knockout. See, so they have to work around these things. So how do you do that? One, you have to close your eyes. Two, if you don't slap correctly, you're disqualified. You're out. Or better yet, if you don't throw a well placed punch, the other guy is gonna have to slap you twice. Once for his turn and one for the foul that you committed. If you do that, I assure you, the sport will grow. But right now, it's really the person that's gonna win is about 75 to 25% odds that the guy who wins the toss is gonna win. Simple as that. It's inherent flaws that these guys have not thought about, and I have because I've been watching the sport and I'm like, man, that's messed up. You can't do that. You can't do that.
Yeah. Hold on, I'm typing something out.
Yeah,
Now I'm
yeah,
gonna
New Country. I was a very good wrestler too in high school, and then I ended up getting into a fight, and then I got expelled from school, and I went to a continuation school. But I was doing very good, very very good at wrestling. Yeah, but when a person knows what they're doing, like the time that I lost, the first time that I lost, yeah, like a person that has experience, right? I just have great balance and great speed and good strength, so that I can actually pick up people that are like maybe not you know double my weight, but I can pick up my weight in a half. Whatever that is, whatever you say that, right? Um, the dream
yeah, dude,
says I was training like a pro, but no boxing IQ.
yeah, I hit 127, bro. I was hitting double days. Like
Wow.
I was really like trying to go pro, and I was going hard, bro. And um me watching boxing right now, I go to the boxing gym and I feel like kids are looking at me because I mean I don't keep up with them as far as like their wind and all that, but they're looking at me because they see like my hand placement, and dude, I'm learning off of YouTube, and I'm like
Yeah.
I'm trying, and then boom, I do that at the boxing gym, and
Mhm,
coach is looking at me and he's like, damn, I didn't teach him to do that, and
mhm.
but I'm loyal to him, but like I always try to I have my IQ, bro, is like I think it's like one of the best in the whole gym because of the amount of studying that I do.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I've told you to spar my son. Light sparring because you're obviously way heavier than the guy. But I don't know. You and homie Ricky just don't want that 130 smoke, man.
Because
So let's reading.
it's speed, and like it's only the dudes that are fast enough to keep up with them would actually help him out. Like me, I'm gonna just catch him once, and then it's like, dude, like, what did you learn from that? Like
Look,
nothing. So
look.
I don't know.
So
I'm just be a
my
punching bag after that, then.
no, my son fought a professional fighter, sparred a professional fighter, and the professional knew exactly what he was doing. He knew when to pull his punches. He knew when to go harder, when not to go harder. If you don't know that right now, then you don't have mastery of your own sport, right? So if you think you really hurt a fighter, then you're trying too hard, right? And if you're trying too hard, that means it's not natural for you. So you got a lot of work to do if you think that you can fight a 130 fighter and really hurt him. I mean, you just got to know what your strength is like. If you
Honestly,
don't know
me,
your
if
strength,
I were
that's
to,
crazy.
yeah, if I were to say, I think I'm just like, yeah, I'm just like underestimating myself, but I rather keep it that way because I rather just see what I got first, because it's been
Yeah,
years
but
since
here's the thing though. In order for my son to get better, he has to take punches from heavier guys, and the bigger guys, in order for him to take the much lighter punches from guys his height and weight, right? Reading a couple of these comments, the new country says there's not a lot of skill involved and slap fighting. Yep, absolutely not. Just technique, really. The Mexican G says wrestling is fun, but wearing the outfits was humiliating. New
honestly,
country
bro,
says
when
I
you're in shape, bro.
dislocated. Hmm?
Sorry, I was about to say when you're in shape and you squat, like there's dudes that squat like 3 plates. Their singlets wouldn't even like fit like on around their thighs. That's a little intimidating, and that's like part of the
Yeah,
mental games about it.
yeah.
Yeah,
Looking at these guys, and you're like, shh,
like
man.
that's
Yeah.
why
New country
fucking
says
dude. Yeah.
new country dislocated an elbow wrestling in high school. Man, that hurt. I was talking about the slaps, yeah, and not BKFC. Yeah, of course, new country. There's a lot of skill in BKFC. You gotta have skill in order to not get knocked out by the
Yeah.
first punch. Because a well placed punch, guys, by a guy that's been training to slap you with no gloves, guys, it's gonna lead to a knockout. That's a matter of fact. And in fact, one of my short stream, I don't know if you saw it, but there was the short that he uploaded. The best. Look, there was, man, you won't believe it. In the undercard of bare knuckle boxing knuckle mania, the very first fight of the undercard had 7 total knockdowns, 3 to 4. It was an incredible fight. It was incredible, and you have to have chin to take those kind of punches. You have to have technique in order to land them, right? And it was just an incredible fight. It lasted, yeah, I think it lasted 5 rounds, right? Until right at the last few minutes or so, one guy knocks the other guy down, and then it was waved off. It was an incredible fight, one of the most exciting fights that I've seen all year, and I'm talking about including the fights that we just saw over the weekend, right? Because there's a special place in my heart for knockdowns and especially knockouts. Reading more of these comments, right? Uh, Dream is talking about how he's a physical phenomenon. How, yeah, and yeah, you do have a good physique. I don't know where you're at right now, but I know you ain't weighing 135, 145. The Mexican G says, I've been a small dude all my life. I was like 135 in high school. Well, Mexican, I was 115, man. I was 115
Oh, let me
once
tell
in
him
8th grade.
this guy was doing more push-ups than Rick when Rick was in his peak. When he was actually fighting as an amateur, he would actually do push-up contests with Speed, and Speed will outdo him, man. It would blow my mind every day, man. I was like, dude, where did you have
Sit-ups, push-ups. I would do all that stuff. I would, yeah, because
Yeah, I
there
remember that.
was one guy dream. There
Where did
was
that
one
come
guy
from?
dream. A good, I think, proper form, right? Because
Proper form, dude. You strength. I don't. Where'd you get that strength from?
I think it's because of my legs. I'm an Aquarius, by the way, so my legs are very strong, very well grounded, right?
Makes sense.
Yeah, so I think maybe that's the reason why I have good core, so good balance. I know I have very good balance, very very good balance, but I'm not too sure really. But I remember there was one guy that would always beat me at everything. In 8th grade, there was this teacher that would make us like he would give us a minute, and we would, the whole school, the whole class or whatever would have to do as many push-ups and as many pull-ups and as many sit-ups in a minute, and this guy would always beat me by one or two. It was me and him always going back, but when he would beat me, he would beat me by like 1 or 2. So I wonder what happened to that guy. I forget his name. I think his name was Ismail. I think his nickname
Ish-
was Ishi. Yeah,
Ishmael
Ishi.
Salas?
No, and we ended up fighting. In fact, if it's the guy who I'm thinking about, we ended up fighting, and we became friends, right? But whoever it was, really, if it wasn't him, whoever it was, this guy would always beat me. And literally, I'm talking about a 60-second minute. I would do 56 push-ups, and this guy would do 57 or 58, like literally one a second. Sit-ups, the same thing, boom, 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 55 or 56, and he would always beat me by 2. I was cut up, man. I was like, I had six packs, I had muscles. I was very svelte, very fit. When we would do pull-ups, we would do pull-ups by the forearm and the other way, and I forget how many we used to do, but we used to do quite a few, man, quite a few. But yeah, that was just always my thing, right? Going back, I was 168. This new country, I guess he'd be fighting Canelo right now. The Mexican says he was a terrible wrestler, but he still enjoyed going to practice. It was fun. Absolutely, man. um New country says he was okay, but not the best. Physical
Yeah, wrestling
phenomenon.
practice. Yeah, wrestling practice compared to boxing practice. See, that's the thing right there. I just said it right there. One's practice and one's training. you know, but yeah, I think it's like more like training the mind, if anything. I think wrestling, your muscles, like for wrestling, when you're strong and you're like tired, sometimes your muscles are like will give you that boost. You're like, damn, I didn't know I was that strong. And it's like your muscles are working for you. But in boxing, it's your mind working for you, and you got to push yourself. It's like, damn, I feel the same way I did months ago, but this time around, I just feel more motivated, and that's it. You
Dream,
know?
did I tell you about the time that I fought this one-handed guy? And
Yeah, you told
he,
me. Oh no, I thought
he
you were the one that was. I thought you were.
oh,
Never mind.
one-handed. No, no, no. Literally, this guy had one hand. Like, he was born with a deformity where he didn't have fingers
And
in
you
one
fought
hand.
him.
Yeah, I didn't want to fight him. I didn't want to fight him. I kept like pleading. I'm like, look, man, it's a misunderstanding. I did not throw that paper ninja star that landed in your face. That was not me. But I was not gonna point out, the person, be like, it was him. I'm not gonna do that, right? So this stupid guy, right? That he was a friend of mine. He would make these paper ninja stars in ninth grade. And we were in the basketball gym, and everybody was playing, and me and this guy and another guy were resting, and there was these gangster guys, and he would just throw the paper airplanes. It wasn't like he meant to hit the guy, but sometimes when you throw them, they start like doing little curves and spins and stuff, and they hit the guy, boom. And the guy walks over there, and they're gangsters, right? And he walks over there, and he says, who threw that? And nobody says nothing, right? And he goes, next time that he looked at me, and he goes, next time that happens, I'm beating you up. And I was like, bro, I didn't throw it, right? My friend, he throws another ninja star. And of all people, it goes, hits the guy again. And he turns around and he comes back to me, goes, after PE in the field, I'm beating your ass or whatever. And then I don't know how rumors start. I don't know how the news gets around, but man, it seemed like half the school, or if not half the school, the whole school was there, because my PE ended right where lunch started, and all of a sudden everybody was in the field, and this guy starts bouncing like a boxer, right? Now I know what boxing looks like, but I wasn't taking boxing like that then, right? So this guy starts boxing, and I feel the pressure because everybody starts going boo, boo, because all of a sudden this guy wants to dance and stuff. And I threw a stupid punch, man. I just threw a stupid punch to let everybody know, okay, it's official. This is a fight. We're not just going to be bouncing back and forth. And I missed by like a foot, and this guy just teed off on me, right? The most impressive thing, right, is that every punch that I threw, I missed. Every punch that he threw, he landed. But incredibly, I don't know how. I tried to rush him, but this guy picked me up. This guy was my height, man. I hadn't fought anybody my height forever, right? It was like everybody was taller than me, or heavier set than me, or muscular, but never somebody that was exactly my height, my physique. And this guy, he picks me up in the air like a wrestler, and he body slams me right into the grass, like boom. I can't even imagine what strength he had in order for him to body slam me like that. But he body slammed me, and I basically gave up. Right, I go in Spanish. I said ya estuvo, which means that's it, right? That's it. And he doesn't kick me on the ground or nothing like that. Maybe kick me in the balls, right? And then I get up and I reach over to shake his hand and tell him I muere, which means it's over, right? We're done. And this guy gets my hand like if he's gonna shake it, pulls it forward towards him, brings me with them, and with that big old knuckle of his, because he didn't have fingers, he just had like, it's almost like if all of his fingers were bent in. So like if he was born with a hand that was closed into a fist, and then the bones just mended into a big old fist, but he only had a thumb, and he landed that big old heavy boxy thing right in my face, and boom, just bloody my nose and gave me a black eye, right? This guy completely destroyed me, right? So you're talking about like, what does this have to do with anything? Well, man, that guy must have had some wrestling background, because man, he just ragdolled me, man. So the next new country says, I remember we wrestled this Catholic high school team, and they were calling us low lives. We kicked their asses and chanted low lives, low lives, low lives after it was over. And the
Brandon
Mexican
is a mangina.
hey, this is hilarious, bro. Check this out. The Mexican G says, Catholic school with a wrestling team, that's a lawsuit waiting to happen. Bro, man, I don't even want to talk about what that insinuates, bro. A wrestling coach was a 1968 Olympian, man. The
Yeah,
Mexican G.
we have a handful of coaches for Olympians as well, like the Palma coach and the Alisal wrestling coach are both like Olympians. I forget their names, but yeah. And then they
Look
also,
at,
yeah,
really?
yeah, our coach. There's some coaches out here that actually coached world class wrestlers. Like, I'm not sure if you know, like the Mario something. It's like one of the strongest, like like the best wrestlers here. I actually went to middle school with one of the best wrestlers of all time. Not only in just Salinas, but in the whole Central Coast. And my dad knows his dad as well. Jesse Delgado, Jr.
I've heard of him, yeah.
So that dude, I went to middle school with him. And he actually almost three-peated as an NCAA champ, but he tore his ACL in the semis, and he was killing it.
Wow.
He was killing it, and that dude was one of those guys. Like Jesse Delgado is one of those guys where his conditioning and his strength make him dangerous for any like combat sport. Like he could have learned boxing and would have had the breathing technique. He didn't have a lot of muscle, so he could have just easily transcended to boxing,
Yeah.
easily, because he had nothing slowing him down. He wasn't powerlifting, none of that, but he was strong like it, So every human's different. Those are the guys that I think, like Jesse Delgado. When you get that type of work ethic, it's all about work ethic, And once you're at a certain weight, it doesn't matter. Work ethic is work ethic. But once you get the heavyweight division, obviously, you got to be blessed with some size and some strength, obviously. But
Yeah.
yeah, with Delgado, Jesse Delgado, like I think he's one of the best athletes to ever come out of Salinas.
Well, I'm not too sure if you know this, but a couple of your buddies, my buddies, three brothers that we know without mentioning any kind of names, they were all very good wrestlers. And if I'm not mistaken, the eldest of these brothers,
Oh yeah,
he
who's
went to,
the oldest one?
yeah, if I'm not mistaken, the eldest went to university and was in their wrestling team, Chico State, if I'm not mistaken, and
He actually placed in
nationals.
state.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
placed
yeah,
in
yeah.
state.
And
He
all
actually
brothers did. All of them were. In
yeah.
fact, one of them,
Well,
the youngest one, he couldn't do it because he broke his leg or something, right?
Yeah, but it was so the middle one didn't get as far. The oldest one is the only one to make it to the state. And
Yeah,
he actually was like by far like the best wrestler because he was just strong as a freaking mule. And he
yeah,
actually I think he placed sixth in California. So
yeah.
he literally numbers says it. He actually was the best wrestler and actually the best wrestler to come out of because we all went to the same high school. The best wrestler, not unless somebody placed higher than sixth in state. I
I don't
think
know.
he I think I had to like do some research maybe, but I think he literally is the best wrestler to come out of that high school.
Yeah. Well, the high school probably in this whole city.
Well, there's
Or
also
maybe not.
LSL.
Maybe not. Yeah, Alice. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Alice
LSL is
has a
rich.
very long history,
LSL and Palma have rich high
wrestling
school.
history. So,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And then of course the youngest had a potential because he was very athletic, and all of his
Mhm.
aspirations to be a professional footballer and whatever he wanted to do, all of them went downhill because of an injury to the leg. Right?
Yeah. Except the older brother, the oldest one didn't have no injuries. He
Nothing.
just nothing. He just got injured from lifting too much weights after wrestling, you
Jeez.
know?
Wow.
But he didn't get rest. He didn't break at all.
Yeah, that's
But
crazy.
yeah.
The Mexican G says, ironic speed. I fought a person that had one hand in high school. I beat the out of that guy. Yeah, so I struggle and you beat him, man. Next time I lose to a fighter, I'll send him your way. You can finish him out for me. And the New Country says, I actually wrestled a one-legged guy one time at a tournament. Yeah, the funny thing is, New Country, you're not telling me who won, though. Now I'm starting to think you lost that one, man. Well, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised because people with disabilities, they compensate for their shortcomings by making up for with them for other things, right? Like the blind person will rely more on his sense of hearing to make him more keen and aware of what's going on, and to perceive the world
Like
in a different way. It's just different how they see
and
the world.
yeah, and everyone's brain is wired differently. And one of those brains that I'm like, damn, man, like I look at his mindset, like dude, like Rolly. I look at it, dudes like Rolly. He is so in shape. Like I think he's just whatever he just does it out of boredom, and he just zones out while working out or something, you know.
Hmm.
And he
Hmm.
just because he's so slow, like mentally, you know. And I'm like, I know he's not disabled. Like I know he's not going through, or he doesn't have any diagnosed condition or anything like that. So I think he just smokes a lot of weed and just zones out working out. That's what I do, you know. And like and it's fun and it's but you have to be not high and you have to actually put effort into everything that you do, you know. And I think he's like the biggest like like um he just like the most blessed boxer out here. Like he is literally fighting everybody, you know. At what he is the, the least skilled fighter fighting the most skilled
Everybody.
fighters, everybody. And
Well,
it's like
now he's fighting Ryan Garcia, so I don't know if that's
right.
necessarily true.
But yeah, it's I guess it names at this point, you know, and it's still a hook, you know. Ryan beats Pitbull maybe, you know, and Pitbull knocked out Rolling, you know. So I don't know. We'll see, man.
That's funny. He says, the Mexican G says, kind of funny. We all fought a disabled person. He goes on and says, he brings up Broly as soon as we talk
Well, because
about
people,
disabled people.
I know, dude, because
No
people
mames,
actually
way.
no, because people actually really do think he's like disabled. But this
Yeah.
is the thing.
That's
You're talking
able.
this is the thing. You're talking to someone who knows people and who actually smokes themselves on the daily basis, you know. And I know myself when I'm not like smoking, it's like, dude, I'm a whole different person. Not a whole different person, but my customer service is it can be good or bad depending on the customer. You know, if the customer doesn't like someone that making eye contact, it changes the roulette of chemistry in my life, you know. So with Rolly, it'll actually fix him as an asset to his company, you know. So I think it's nothing wrong with smoking weed, but like I think he because I'm only saying this because he's gone live smoking weed and actually says I smoke weed, this and that. And he never said I stopped, never said nothing like that, you know. So I think it's his parents are enablers, and I think he puts in work and he
Who?
managed
Rolly?
um and before you go any further, he puts in work as far as making weight. And that's
Well, Rolly is how old is he? Like 27.
yeah, but
He don't
Rolly
need his parents to enable him. His parents can't tell him nothing. He's a millionaire.
yeah, well I mean being told what to do by somebody.
Bad people, always the people that you
But no,
surround yourself with.
yeah, but he's in there. He has enablers surrounding him. So I think, like dudes like Floyd, like he knows that he sucks, but he's gonna continue to uplift his fighter. Like he's literally like tweeting about Rolly every time he fights, you know, and he's actually like, hey Rolly, like pick up your head, all this, and he actually gets a lot of like support, and honestly it's because of the potential. I see the
Yeah,
potential in him. I'm still gonna, as long as you're still moving fast and athletic like that, I'm gonna say you have a chance.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
if it were the other way around, um, sometimes your mind can't keep up with hold on, your body can't keep up with your mindset. Sometimes your body is just breaking down. Not until I see Rolly's body breaking down, I'm gonna say he still has a chance to make things right at least.
Mhm.
And he's just a mindset away. That's easier than saying he's got to develop a lot more as a fighter. And that's true as well, but he has a lot of qualities in him as far as explosiveness that you cannot teach, you know? And dude, where do you get that explosiveness? I know it's retarded movement, but where does he get that?
Retarded move.
It is. It is. It looks funny. It just not. It doesn't look like a natural boxer, but he's quick and he's athletic. I've seen it in person when we went to the Jaime Munguia fight. I've seen this dude move and do shuffle, do combinations, and I was like, wow, this dude's fucking fast, you know. And this guy manages to keep sustain that amount of speed and power without having like too much skill behind it. That says that he has some type of work ethic. That says that he's putting in some type of work and actually having the decency to eat right the decency to eat right and make weight. So
Yeah.
he's halfway there. Yes, I want better fighters in the game and I want the true champion to be the champion. But when you got dudes like Rolly, he he's gonna test people's chins, you know? And
He
yeah,
didn't test Ismo Barroso's chin. So
I know,
let's
I
see.
know.
So let me see. Finally, country answers. He says, "I did." He says, "I didn't want to fight the one-legged guy, but when asked if he won that fight, I did." And of course, I told him, "You still have my respect, country." Well, see, here's the thing, right? The man was handicapped. You can either, you know, fake it, or maybe he was very good because again, they could compensate for their shortcomings by other ways, right? But you could have been the better person and made it more competitive. Like when I played basketball with my 11-year-old son, I toned down my aggressiveness, my athleticism, my shooting abilities in order to make him more competitive so that he won't be demoralized, right? And now we're starting to catch up because now he's becoming much better and I'm now showing my age, right? But we tend to be nice when in fact we should be like, bro, this guy's supposed to be a cakewalk, so let me show him what it is, right? So I respect you for that. In my case, country, I took a lot of slack from having gotten beat up by that guy, and I think the guy who took a lot of I mean, a lot of flack by not slack, a lot of flack by being beat up by that guy. And I think he took even more flack than I did. Why? Because nobody ever believed that he would have beaten me. Not with the people that I'd been fighting, not with the names that I'd been fighting, people that were doing the whole triangle theory. They're like, look, you beat him, but you could not have beaten the guy that he did. Right. So the best thing that I could do, because he always called for the rematch. He always wanted to beat me up again. I never gave him the rematch. I never gave him the luxury of beating me again and assuring the world that it wasn't a fluke, that he could beat me on any given Sunday. I never gave him the opportunity because I wanted him to live with the concern, with the doubt in his mind of saying, did I get lucky that day? Right? Because I've always thought that I've been lucky. I fought the I fought the leader of the Crips, who was 6 foot something back when I was like 5 foot nothing, and I beat him up and I dropped him and I pushed him to the lockers and I started teeing off on the guy. Right? Oh no, wait, that was I beat that guy outside of school. I beat the leader of the Hicks, a big old boot wearing, big old corn fed white guy, incredibly, man, like I astound myself now thinking about those guys, right? When I went to the Salinas County Fair, right?
You did the DDT on them? You picked them up in the air and tossed them?
No, 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 no. I didn't do none of that. I dropped them, right? I kept punching them until they fell down, and then they were there. But I would push them in. Long story short, when I got jumped in front of my parents, I beat up 4 guys, man. 4 guys, and none of them were my size. Like I was on the
Damn.
roll, right? I was
Like
like
Stone Cold.
nobody would ever have given them the nobody. If this guy, the one-handed guy, would have walked up to anybody and says, "I've beaten that dude's ass," and they knew who I was, they wouldn't have believed them. They would have said, "No, you didn't, dude. No, you didn't. I bet you $1 million." Nope. No, you didn't. It would just be like, no, you didn't, right? But this guy, I assure you guys, he beat my ass fair and square. It was, in fact, the most fair fight that I've ever been in, because everybody always had physical advantages over me, but he beat me fair and square. Um, I'm the opposite. I lost respect when I give you respect. But back in the day, no way, man. No way. You lost to a person like that, you lost all kinds of respect. Luckily, I was expelled afterwards, like the next year over, so I didn't have to live with those kind of that kind of societal pressure in high school, because high school can be very harsh. The Mexican cheese has always been halfway there. He's never been all the way there. I'm a crash out, Stone Cold Steve Austin style, go for it, dream. And the Mexican G ends it by saying, my mom also told me, if there's more than one, grab a gun. Yeah, that's what is it? Survival of the fittest by what did Malcolm X say? By all means necessary. You got to survive. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been fun. We had an opportunity to discuss boxing, discuss our victories, personal or otherwise, our aspirations, our history as youth and excited individuals. And it really, really was fun. Just a light-hearted way of congregating here after such an incredible weekend of fights. We had bare knuckle, we had Royal Rumble, we had UFC at 6 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday. We had one of the most incredible boxing events that I can remember that was completely chock full of great fights this past Saturday. Yep, it was a pay-per-view event, but it was still fun. Every buck was worth it, right? So I have nothing to say besides thank the boxing gods and, of course, thank our personal gods for giving us life to gather here and give praise to these fighters and to give thanks for their excitement, right, that they provide us on a daily basis. And we hope to do it again. For the homie Ricky, Dream 123, and your interlocutor, Warp Speed, I bid you do well of health and that you are sane of mind. Engage.